Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and wherever you're watching in the world, welcome back to the Creator Series. Round number 2 takes us to the Ardennes Forest. The Belgian Grand Prix awaits us, and you'll have to excuse me, I think I might have caught a bug, but it's not the cold, it's the racing fever that awaits us today. Who can follow in the footsteps of Razin's first win out the first round last time out? Can anybody catch the man trying to run away with it in the racing balls? My name is Kieran McGinley, and let's bring in our clipbook maestro to bring us into the second race of the season, I should say. It's Mr. TK. TK, how are you doing?
I'm doing very, very well. Looking forward to Belgium here this afternoon after what was a very thrilling race in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of action, lots to, well, really talk about in the build-up to this one. But of course, more about the Belgian Grand Prix, which if we have a look at how things stand not only in the championship, but pretty much how things finished last time out, because it's race 2, so that makes sense. What happened last time out is the current championship standings. But there you can see Razin Chai took the first race win of the season from pole position. Lolinova took second place with also the Inter's pole lap and also the fastest lap of the race with Ricky03 rounding off the top 3. A fine day at the office for both of the Ferrari drivers. Tiamat Marduk in 4th place, Infratic in 5th. Concept 7 finishing in P6 there. It was a great start for him last time out. Safso starting his 120th Creator Series race today. He finished P7 last time out. That guy Vince in 8th place. Adam Sanderson in 9th with Grid Jokes in 10th. Tuki in 11th. Jorik van Geffen in 12th. Matt 212 in 13th place. Chappers in 14th. And Scotty Designs, by the way, rounding off the top 15 with Super Noodle Bagel, Isa Musing rounding off the 17 finishes. Fantasy, Karim and Ryan L83 not making the checkered flag last time out. And funnily enough, that's pretty much how the championship looks going into the second round of the season at the longest circuit on the calendar, 4 meters and 7 kilometers long. TK, how's it looking into this season, I wonder? Early doors, it's looking pretty good.
I think if you're a Ferrari fan, or more notably an Italian fan, you are setting your expectations high, I'll put it that way. With a P2 and a P3 finish, they looked rather unstoppable for most of that Saudi Arabian race, but Razin Chai found 8th gear at the final moment and managed to just pull away after that final safety car. So it was almost a dream debut for Ferrari and Lolinova and Ricky03 respectively. But of course, there is a long season to go. Lots of different tracks, lots of opportunities to hit the wall as well, and that can quite often be a race ender.
I will say as well, Concept 7 putting in the absolute shift over the winter as well. Maybe that Creator Series Winter Cup helped him out there as well, who knows, but he finished in P6. So let's have a look at how the calendar shapes up for the rest of the season as well. Of course, we stop here today at the Belgian Grand Prix, but we've got visits in Hungary, in Canada, at the British Grand Prix to mark the halfway mark of the season. Then we'll finish off with Zandvoort, Australia, Texas, Japan and Brazil for the season finale. It should be a great time there. Should say British Grand Prix and the Brazilian Grand Prix all a sprint race weekend. So plenty of action coming your way. And 2 break weeks, 14th of February, can't think why, and also March the 14th as well. Well, that's all to come. What we have today is the Belgian Grand Prix, a track which is specifically and more importantly known and regarded for its changeable weather. What will we see today, I wonder? Well, 2 gentlemen who are going to take us through the action when we get into action will be Carl Paranik and Tom Wilkinson, who will be our commentary team for today. And here they are. Tom, I'll start with you first. Back in the Creator Series box. Great to have you there. And obviously we haven't seen each other since December, so Happy New Year.
I quite hope you had a lovely Christmas. It was a good time off. We got back with a bang, didn't we, last week? Saudi was a roller coaster. Really exciting start, really exciting finish with the safety car. And I think it's set a few precedents down. Like you said, the 2 Ferraris. Lolinova in particular, I think it's been a while since he's put together a complete season where he's been a real championship challenger. With Alex Gillen's attendance not being quite there, we don't know what Tiamat Marduk's going to be like. I think Lolly could be a real thorn in the side of a lot of drivers.
Yeah, but Razin got off to the perfect start, didn't he? That's exactly what he needs to do, Carl. What's he got to do at the Belgian Grand Prix? Because he's got 2 Italian stallions bang in form.
He really does. And first of all, Happy New Year to you too, because you haven't seen each other. But yeah, Italian Stallions, they are trying to knock down the gatepost between themselves and Razin, who, generally speaking, has been utterly imperious. And luckily for him, last stint at Saudi Arabia proved to be the case. Lolly is going to be a thorn in his side, though. Absolutely. I think he's going to have some cutthroat consistency. Whether it'll be the same at this track, the Belgian Grand Prix, completely different dynamic shift. Less about confidence between the walls. You've got much more open space to try and operate. Who knows? It might just open up the opportunity for somebody else, because it's not just Razin in the fray. You've got GB back and a bunch of others waiting in the wings as well.
You have indeed. And Tom, coming into the Belgian Grand Prix, it's the longest circuit on the calendar, but relatively speaking, it's one of the shortest runs down towards turn 1, and it's a hairpin as well. You put all that together, and that seems to be, it could be a recipe for disaster. So how do our drivers negotiate their way through that?
It's difficult because it really invites you in, especially the Apex. You can see 3 or 4 places that you can make up if you're just a little bit braver than other people. But it's not just La Source. You have to think about the entire first sector, because you're flat for pretty much 20 seconds after that, up through Eau Rouge and Radion and down into the Les Combes chicane. So you have to be really accurate, pinpoint precision to get it right and make up as many places as possible. But it's a pinch point of the Apex as well, right? We've seen carnage here before, F1 and F2. I'd be very surprised if we don't see somebody backwards or maybe upside down. We know how this game works sometimes. We know how some of the drivers we have on the grid act as well.
Yes, we've got plenty of experience with them as well. Carl, obviously we were talking about the short run down towards turn 12. Hopefully we don't see any Roman Grosjean antics down towards the first corner. But relatively speaking, you've got turn 1 down at the hairpin. You've got obviously through Eau Rouge and Radion down at the end of the Kemmel Straight. And then possibly you've got the final chicane. In terms of grand speaking, there's lots of medium speed corners here around Spa, which normally means there's fewer overtaking opportunities.
Could agree more with you, particularly with the dynamic of F1 25. You think it should lend itself. But I think also, as a counterbalance, you can't ever fault the bravery and boldness of a lot of these drivers. I reckon they can carve out their own opportunities just about anywhere if they wanted to. After Les Combes, you've got that long right-hander that goes straight after it, after that sweeping sequence. There's no reason why a move or two can't be made. I'm all about innovation and improvisation, and we've got the drivers to do that.
We do indeed. Tom, sort of a preview going into tonight then. Who's the driver you're really keeping an eye on ahead of the Belgian Grand Prix tonight?
This will sound really boring because he won last week, but Razin's got a really good record around here. Winner previously. Lolanober also won the last time we were here, which was coincidentally the first time we tried realistic performance cars. So sounds like a cop-out answer to say the 2 from last week are the 2 favourites, but realistically they are if we look at the history. I think GB will come back with a bang as well. That he's maybe got a bit of a point to prove. He's been out for a while, obviously, now just a reserve compared to the full-time status he had for so long in the Creator Series. I think he is thinking about coming in and maybe just upsetting a few people, saying, hey, I may not be here every week, but I'm still very much a part of this, and I can mess a couple of you up.
I'm sure that's a paraphrase there, Tom. We'll put that down to a paraphrase. Carl, who's some drivers you're keeping an eye on for this race?
I think definitely GB. It seems like a happy hunting ground. Spa, he's, I think, won here previously when it was sim damage back a couple of seasons ago. He's had decent success, particularly when we ran realistic cars here for the first time. He was also very successful as well. Like I say, a happy hunting ground for the, generally speaking, Aston Martin driver. Has to don the Endstone outfit for tonight in place of Alex Gillen. I think keep an eye on him. I concur with what Tom Wilkinson said. It's a boring answer, but I think Razin and Lolly, you've got to keep an eye on them. But I think keep an eye on Concept 7 as well. I don't know what kind of juice he took over the winter. Many speculations, but the point is, he found some rapid pace. No idea where he's got it from. But fair play, he could be a thorn in the side of a lot of people as well.
Yes, we've defrosted Concept 7 from the winter. He's here and he's very much on the pace. We're going to bring in TK as well because I need to know an answer from him or two. TK, welcome back. Who's someone you're keeping your eye on ahead of today's race?
I want to give a really funny answer, but everyone, quite literally, from behind the scenes. But no, in terms of winning the race, I think GB's going to be back in force. We saw some fantastic drives from him before his retirement at the end of season, what was it, 11, 10? Obviously didn't take part in that realistic season, has allowed him to do these community championships. But I think he'll come back with a vengeance today, quite possibly wanting to try and prove that he wants to try and win these races still.
Yeah, and I will say as well, our third most experienced driver on the grid, Savso's 120th race today, our PS1 Hagrid. We haven't got a cake ready. 120 is not quite the round number,
no.
But he had a good result last time out in Saudi Arabia, though.
He absolutely did. A fantastic start to the season, one that actually pars, if you look back in the history book, one of his best results in round 1. And then he also got that bonus point on for cleanest driver. So it has been that tale of two cities for Savso in recent years. Hopefully, looking back to come rather well today.
Indeed, indeed. And of course, I'll ask you as well, because there's some happy hunting ground memories for many of our drivers here at the Belgian Grand Prix. But what are you thinking? What in terms of clip books, it's always hard to predict about the clip book, but I assume you're going to be very busy lap 1, turn 1.
Almost certainly lap 1, turn 1. I think equally at the top of the hill as you head up to the Lake Om chicane, that typically has been one of those points where we see cars come together. Not necessarily intentionally by any means, but just where you have this gaggle of cars coming towards a series of very, very short corners.
Oh, indeed. Indeed. And I think we have GB ready for an interview. Oh, I'm just hearing from Gareth there that we're dragging GB in by the scruff of his neck. GB, welcome along. Welcome back to Creator Series, by the way. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. I'm like a bad smell. You just can't get rid of me. Just lingering around.
Nonsense. You're talking nonsense there, GB. Belgian Grand Prix, talk to me. What are you thinking? What are you looking forward to? What do you think you can do here?
I'm just looking forward to the race, man. Like I was saying before, I can't remember ever having a bad race. I don't mean me personally, just Creator Series. I think the last time we did it was Realistic Performance, I think in season 10. And then the one before that was like me, Razan and Alex fighting for the win, and we've had so many good races here in the past that I just hope it's going to be good fun. I've chosen to start from the back today, just for a bit more action as well. So yeah, it should be good. Let's see how it plays out.
Absolutely, and jumping back into the Creators Series, we've missed you, GB. We have. What's it like to be back?
Yeah, it's good. I'm really looking forward to it. The Saturdays felt weird not being live at this time, so yeah, it's good to be back. Obviously, only as a reserve driver, I know I'm already getting questions of, hang on, Alpine, what is this? Yeah, maybe next time it'll be in a different car, we'll see. But yeah, it's strange not being in the Aston, but it's good to be back in the series.
You said you're starting from the back. Where do you reckon you're going to finish? What's the target for today?
I guess, look, a podium will be a great result. I'm on new pedals as of yesterday, so I was actually chatting to Gareth and a few of the guys before now, and I was spinning around in time trials and whatever else on my new throttle. So my expectations are fairly low, but hey, let's see. Maybe top 5 from the back is a good result. I'll go with that, top 5.
What you should say, GB, is those spins were deliberate and intentional to put everybody off, so that everyone says, we don't need to worry about GB and his new throttle. That's it. That's it. You've got the perfect cover now.
Yeah, there we go. My chat's correct as well. Target is to finish. I like that.
I love that indeed. Well, GB, we'll let you get ready for the race up ahead, and good luck with it.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Look forward to it.
Looking forward to it indeed for the Belgian Grand Prix. We're not too far away from it, as I believe the lobby is just about getting set up. I think we haven't got long left before I hand over to our commentary team. So let us know in the chats as well, wherever you're watching, who are you watching for tonight? Who are you cheering on tonight? And who do you think could take the win for the second round of Season 12 here at the Belgian Grand Prix of the Creator Series? I'm being told that we are readying up and we haven't got long left. So get your predictions in. And we'll call them back and just think, wow, what an absolutely sensational prediction. Perhaps you're going to go for Safso, and a win would be his 4th win in the Creator Series. Go on, you know you want to. Our PS1 Hagrid will be greatly appreciative of it. 3rd most experienced driver on the grid as well. But we'll wait and see how it all plays out. We're just waiting for that lobby to get set up, and then we'll bring you qualifying and the whole race upcoming. But I don't know if we can bring in somebody. Oh, we're ready to go. Let's do it then. Let's do the throw. Oh, I've been waiting. I'm excited for this. So, without further ado, let's hand over to our commentary team of Carl Paranik and Tom Wilkinson.
Well, thank you very much, Kieran, and welcome everybody to a venue that truly bleeds motorsport. You can see it there on the right hand of screen, deep in the heart of the Ardennes Forest. First opened back in 1922. That is a hell of a long time ago. This is, of course, Spa-Francorchamps. 104 chapters of storied racing already written, and Carl, it is a place in the Creator Series that we know very, very well. Our 8th visit this will be to the municipality of Stavelot in Belgium, more than any other circuit across the 12 seasons we've had.
We're extremely well acquainted, and all the better for it, honestly. It is a wonderful, wonderful place to go racing and to go into qualifying. The full 20, a few reserves sprinkled in there, just to try and spice up your life a little bit more. But this is going to be an interesting session, I think, purely because, as well, Belgium likes to throw some weather about. So, if they get track position, and the rain might fall in the race, you never know. Could just be the key to unlocking victory tonight.
100%. Set fair, the weather, I think we can say, at the moment as we get ready for qualifying. If you are new, first of all, where have you been this whole time? Pour from yourselves. But 18 minutes of qualifying to kickstart the action tonight. And remember, there is an extra championship point on the line for the driver that is fastest on the intermediate tyres. Regardless of the weather, it is dry, so it won't be ideal, of course, for the green stripe rubber, for whoever sets the fastest time inside the opening 6 minutes of the session. Now, Carl, you have done countless laps around this place on F1 25 and previous game titles. When you're on the ragged edge in qualifying here, what are the biggest challenges that the drivers are going to be dealing with?
I think the patience into La Source is the first big challenge. That not only because you need to hit the apex to get the car rotated, but that is also your slingshot down towards Eau Rouge, Radion, the Kemmel straight. If you kill your momentum off at the first opportunity, does no good for the rest of your lap as Safso explores the track, explores all of the extremities of the Spa-Francorchamps circuit at the right-hander. But you're always looking to find that flow. The middle sector, completely different dynamic. It's less of a point and shoot and more of just keeping your rhythm going. Through Pouhon, same again. You always want to find that flow. Sector 1 and Sector 3, that's your point and shoot point. If you get the exits right, you burn the battery, you're in good stead. Sector 2, if you find your flow, if you find more of a technical edge with the car, you can find all the lap time you could ever need. Well, Inter's time is going to be very interesting as well, because as soon as you get on those green stripe tyres, as I can attest to, the rotation becomes completely alien.
100%. And when you look at how technical the middle sector is as well, those tyre temperatures are going to start skyrocketing. We're going to see understeer, we're going to see oversteer. It's going to be like driving a 2014 Ferrari car. For some of these drivers, maybe some of the newer guys that are coming in that aren't used to pushing flat out on the inside on a dry track, that's going to be quite the adventure.
Indeed it will. Safso, PS1 Hagrid, going for the Vaseline focus, but it's going to be smooth moves from the V-carb driver towards La Source. Brake at 100 metres, get the nose turned in. It's not a bad shout at La Source. It's all about the traction, getting on the overtake as quickly as possible, and Safso with complete confidence already. I've no doubt he will burn this almost all the way down the Kemmel straight, save a tiny bit of deployment. You want that for the end of the lap. Now you're going to absolutely muller whatever Energizer or Duracell bunny is in the back of your car, all the way down to the end of the Kemmel straight.
He looks like he's just on a Sunday drive. I don't think I've ever seen Safso in a state of panic or shock. He always looks like he's in just complete cruise control. Like you said, the soft focus with the Vaseline lens there, just peering through his shades as well, looking as cool as ever, Safso. Just struggling a bit with the understeer there through Rivage, and then into no-name corner or jackets, as it is known now. But we don't like calling it jackets corner. Apologies to the former Ferrari man, but no name is now the name we go with. Pouhon double left-hander, understeer plenty here. Got to be careful of the white line on the exit, because he'll throw your lap time in the bin if you do run over, and just get a little bit dicey with the track limits.
Absolutely. Second chicane here. Avoid the curves on the inside. Stop the car from over-rotating. Stavolo 1. Very easy to lock up the brakes. Very easy to misjudge that apex point. Safso, though, completely cool and composed. Now it's the burn of the battery. He's got over 50% in the tank to deploy all the way down through this sweeping section, through Blanchimont, to then point and shoot out of the bus stop chicane. 100-metre board is your best friend. Looking for it. There it is. Now slam on the anchors all the way through. Chop the first curb, less so the second curb. Get the car rotated, point the traction, and that is a very cool lap from Mr. Safso. A 46.6 is the benchmark. Razin won't be competing with that because he's invalidated.
It'll be touch and go. I don't think you'll get another opportunity. Remember, you have to get it done before the 12-minute timer ticks past. That looked a little bit unstable, a little bit wobbly there for Ryan at 83 through the far chicane. And yeah, nearly a second down on Safso. We're not quite sure which is worse. Ryan's driving in F1 25 or is driving in the Robo race. If you know, you know. But last week in Saudi Arabia lasted all but 25 seconds. As Lonin Ober, by just under 0.2 of a second, takes it away. Intermediate pole last week to the Italian stallion, looking to make it 2 in 2. With nobody really, well, I say that in the same ballpark. Mango on the soft tyres into the 42. But of course, he's not on the green stripe rubber and won't be taking that extra point.
Yeah, so welcome to Mango, to the Creator Series. I was just tuning in to see what kind of acclimatisation he had. He said this is his second ever race at 100%, and he's come along to the Creator Series. I admire your bravery, Sunshine. Concept 7, though, my standout of Saudi Arabia, drifting and power sliding through the final corner. It's going to be P5 on the road. Brandon Miles on the soft tyres as well in the kick. Sauber goes up to P2. Only a few others, though, can try and put a time on the board, one of which is Kareem17, who's making his way through the final corner and goes fastest for Inter's pole by nearly 0.6 of a second. That is a sledgehammer from Kareem17.
He was absolutely motoring in the middle sector, and yes, 0.6 of a second, that is quite the mark to put down for a driver that comes into this race under the cosh. GB 47.2, nowhere near what Kareem can manage, 1.3 seconds down on the former champion. That is a big, big bulldozer to the hopes of Lolanober and Safso picking up that extra championship point. And like you say, comes into this under the cosh, retired early on in Saudi Arabia, a bit of a clumsy mistake. Yes, he has some front wing damage, but chipped off his front left tyre of the apex of turn 4. As the clock does tick down, we've had over 6 minutes. That extra point, first point of the season for Kareem17.
That will ram up the confidence. That's exactly what he needed. It seems like there's a bit of a parallel in Kareem17's season. Of course, the expectation was high. He'd won Abu Dhabi at the last round of last season, just to really ramp it up. Then he came to a street circuit at lap number 1, same as season 10, retired during the race with that no rainbow snake available to him. This time though, round number 2, seems like he's really found his skates. He is well on his way. On board with Fabio, and is anyone going to tell him he has slightly missed the point of intermediates pole?
Just needs to check his watch on that one because he's a little bit late to the party. Still going to try and punch in a lap time, although he doesn't trouble the apex through Thorn at all and takes a trip off the road for good measure as well. And that is an invalidated lap time for the man that is now marshalling the papaya colours of McLaren. So used to seeing him in the scarlet red of Ferrari. Safso leads the session. It is that time of the night, everybody. Safso's internet goes a little bit haywire. Season 1 champion. Third, of course, with the intermediate runs. Looking down the order, anyone particularly out of place? Maybe you'd expected a little bit more from Vince on that run, down in 13th on a 47.2. Kinamard a little bit down, and Matt 212 second time. On the soft tyres, second round manual stay, despite setting the fastest final sector.
Fastest final sector or not, it's not what Matt 212 would have wanted. Fabio saying, should I pit immediately or keep going? I'll be honest, mate, I'd probably pit because what are you going to gain from running the intermediates? I still have theories that his loyalty with Ferrari remains strong, despite of not being humiliated, because, well, let's put it this way. He completely shafted qualifying last week. He's missed the intermediate cut-off time. I can't help but feel, Tom, that there might still be some loyalties that are flowing through his veins in the Creator Series.
100%, especially if you watch some of his watch-along streams and his reactions to the ups and downs of Lando Norris in the second half of the 2025 season. But yes, he did actually do a very good job last week, Fabio. Could have been on for a podium, was in a position to take it, but had a little bit of contact with that guy Vince at the start, or the finish I should say, of the penultimate lap. A little bit of a tap from the back as Vince went into the rear of the McLaren. Just misjudged his braking zone as the Merc was under pressure from the charging Tim at Mark as well, sent both of them sideways and enabled Ricky 03, the second Ferrari of course, to hold on to that third place. I think we need to have a bit of setup chat though, Carl, of course. You'll have very extensive knowledge about this. It's a circuit where it is a bit of a balancing act, isn't it? You've got the long straights that you need to think about. The one we're on currently, yes, it's got a couple of kinks in it, but you are flat out from Corporal Prayer into the bus stop chicane. Then that middle sector as well, you can't be running too low wings, otherwise that car is going to be a bit of a boat.
You're absolutely correct. Completely correct. When it comes to race conditions, though, you want to run 0 rear wing, no matter what. That is ultimately the meta setup for this Belgian Grand Prix track, whether the drivers like it or not. It's a question of how much front wing you want to run, though, for that extra rotation, to be able to stick behind another car much more easily. I'd say 3 or 4 is probably what some of the drivers are going to run, but I wouldn't be surprised if 0-0, particularly in qualifying, is where a lot of the drivers were going to be. Maybe creeping a bit of front wing in, as Scotty designs. A lovely fun fact, after scoring the singular point in Jeddah, he's leading his teammate in the standings for the first time in his career, and it's no slouch. He's beating at the moment in the driver's standings. That person is the Inter's pole man, Kareem17.
Yeah, not to burst his bubble there, but with that point that Kareem has picked up, they are now level on points. So that means that Scotty Designs was leading his teammate for all of 6 minutes in the Creator Series so far. Unfortunate for Scotty, but he has got a pretty speedy teammate alongside as he charges down into Pool now. Back end just stepping out ever so slightly, but managing to wrestle that Aston Martin car through 11 and 12 and up into the Fania chicane. A little bit of traffic in front that he might have to deal with. I'm not sure who it is. I think it's one of the Williams cars, not troubling the apex at all. Need to put out a missing person poster because I did not see him at the inside of 14.
Going to get a decent toe, though, through Stavilo 2 and towards the bus stop chicane. Whether it was applied or planned or not, he's going to get just a little bit of a time gain in a straight line. Maximum slipstream, maximum attack through Blanchimont for our very own Scotty Designs, by the way, as he heads to the bus stop chicane for the first time on the soft compound tyres for a valid lap. I am praying and hoping, as long as he gets these two apexes right. And he absolutely does. So across the line goes Scotty Designs and goes fastest with a 42 treble 5. Stop the count.
Going to be under pressure though, because Lolinoba about 4 tenths quicker in the middle sector, further 2 tenths almost quicker in the first sector. And last week, well, the Italian stallion was galloping towards what could have been a win in round number 1. Eventually lost out to Raz and Chai's soft tyres were cooked at the end of the race. If you can continue that form, going to be looking very, very dangerous. Cuts the beam, and that is a monstrous lap. 1:41.3 puts 1.2 seconds on the head top of Scotty Designs, by the way. Once again, Lolinoba putting a big marker down to serve as contenders for the title.
That is ominous from Lolinoba. We knew how quick he was at Jeddah. The question was whether he could maintain that consistency, keep up the phenomenal pace into Belgium. So far, he's shut down that particular theory as Ryan L83 gets into the 141s. Nearly 6 tenths, 5.5 tenths off the pole sitter, but it is P2 for the time being. What does Grid Jokes have at his disposal? It's P2 of his own by a tenth of a second. Those times are going to come flooding in thick and fast as a Mercedes rounds the final corner. That is going to be, I'm trying to look through the leaderboard, I'm missing it. It was that guy, Vince, goes to P2 on his own. They come flooding in. Adam Sanderson just short of the mark in P5.
Really interesting looking at the differing sector times as Ricky negotiates the bus stop chicane. Will it be a scarlet red 1-2 as they flash past? No, 1-3 for Ferrari. Ricky 4 tenths down on his teammate as Tukey jumps up into P6. Fastest first sector for Ryan, fastest middle sector for that guy Vince, and fastest final sector for Lolinoba. Happy Scottish noises. I think they've just been eradicated though, as Scotty's been bumped down into P9 with all of the times coming in thick and fast. Season 1 champion to the line, 6th fastest for Safso, 42 flat, just gets himself in between Ryan L83 and Chappers. Tiamat Mark, this is the venue, I should say, of his first ever Creator Series pole. Got 3 to his name, and that pole position he took back in Season 2. The only time he's converted it into a race victory. Cuts the beam. Does he go fast? He's not quite. He does get himself provisionally onto the front row with that 41.6.
Just wondering whether he ran out of deployment at the end of the lap. It just cut out after the bus stop chicane, but the margins are compressing and compressing. What does Fabio have in the tank? Have his allegiances been put to one side in this papaya car? He almost got a podium in it last week. He crosses the line. It's 8th place, just ahead of Safso, who I was just thinking, with his camera focus, that would look really good on a police movie in a Fiat, in a J-turn. Just saying.
100%. Everybody likes a little bit of J-turn. Maybe we can get a Suzuki guitar in there as well, just to have a bit of banter going on. Attach some kind of doormat with a stinger on the nose as GB misses out by 8 milliseconds. Blitz the first sector, decent in the middle and the last, but can't quite swipe it away from Lolinoba. If you wanted to wonder how GB was going to jump straight back into the deep end of the Creator Series, well, he's taken it by the bull, taken the bull by the horns, because he's down by just those 8,000ths of a second.
All those questions and queries of whether he would struggle with his new pedals, put them to one side as well. Over 1 lap pace is absolutely searing. Still haven't seen the likes of the Aston Martin, of Kareem 70 and others. Speaking of which, he's 4 seconds up on his time currently. He's going to have to find more though through the bus stop chicane. Absolutely obliterated that first curb. Kareem 70 crosses the line and it's almost into the 1:40s. And if the Inter's pole was ominous, if he can improve on that, that's going to be an even bigger sledgehammer towards the rest of the grid's prospects.
If we look at everybody else, GB mentioned it in the interview. He's going to start from the back of the grid, so he's going to do the old Scotty Designs tactic and disqualify himself. So that is one driver taken out of it. That means that if we take Ben in third, there's only one driver within 6/10 of a second almost of Kareem 70, and that's Lolinoba, who's effectively just splitting the difference. 3/10 of a second between the Aston Martin and the Ferrari, 1/4 of a second between the Ferrari and the Red Bull. That is serious pace around a circuit which, we've said, longest on the can. You'd expect the margins to be pretty big. Yes, they are at the sharp end. When you get from the likes of Ben downwards, does really get congested in the midfield.
Absolutely, but there's only 3.5 minutes left in this session. So as Kareem 70 just played his ace a tiny bit too early while the track is still going to be ramping up. That's the big question. Belgium, longest track on the calendar. The caveat of that, of course, is you can only really get 3 flying laps if you're lucky. 1 Inter's run, 2 on the softs maybe. But if you do miscalculate it and you do just try and play your ace a bit too early, it could just be the one soft tyre run. Kareem 17 has played that ace. Again, I'll highlight what you said though, Mr. Tom Wilkinson. That Sector 2 was simply sensational. It's 4 tenths quicker than Lolin Oba. Lost a bit of time in that final sector. Could have easily been in the 1 minute 40s. Even so, extremely impressive. We are yet to see Razin Chai, though, make an impression in this session. He's yet to actually peel out of the pits and set a valid lap.
Yeah, last week's pole sitter, usually very, very strong in qualifying with Razin Chai throughout the entirety of his Creator Series history. Here is Mango's left, 500 different varieties of mangoes. This one in particular, 19-year-old version from the Netherlands. Going to be hoping he barrels down the Kemmel Straight into the Lake on chicane. A little bit of traffic in front, not quite in a position to get a decent tow, maybe a distant slipstream from the Red Bull, I think it is, just up the road. Now the Kick Sauber, in fact, we go through Malmedy, a little bit of gravel on the inside, and this is where you don't want to be tripping over cars getting in your way. That dirty air, you will feel it, you will feel the effects as just dipping wheel onto the grass again, and I think that lap is going to be abandoned.
It will be abandoned, but he has enough time to recharge the battery and go again, should he desire. Look at the myriad of outlaps that are appearing. Only 3 drivers that are yet to peel out of the pit lane. Kareem 17, I can confirm, absolutely chopped track limits to try and get in and get a fresh set of softs, but I don't think it's going to happen. A minute and a half to go, still hasn't peeled out of pit row. Brandon Miles is going to cross the line, be one of our first drivers, in fact our very first driver, to start this final flurry of laps where the track is at its absolute optimum in terms of grip and performance, and now the drivers need to meet that expectation as well.
Got a load of free real estate to work into as well as he charges up Eau Rouge and Rallion for the final time in qualifying. Just a McLaren in the not too distant future that is over on the other side, but I don't think Brandon Miles will be getting any real advantage as we power down the Kemmel Straight. What is the delta time looking like? Are we finding time? No, we're actually down as Scotty Designs. There is the disqualification for Scotty, by the way, and he'll jump himself right to the back of the pack along with GB, you would imagine, if he keeps his word. Of course, through the middle sector we go with Brandon Miles, trying to keep it as tight as you possibly can through Rivage. Just try and keep it as smooth as possible. You don't want to be overextending the tyres through this middle set because you need a little bit of life once you get to the bus stop chicane to slam the anchors on and carry as much speed as you dare.
Kareem 17 has 30 seconds as he passes No Name Corner to try and make the line. If you're wondering if he's going to, no, he's not. Brandon Miles, though, is going to finish a final flying lap. Only a smattering of drivers on an out lap. Whether they're going to disqualify themselves or not is another matter. In the case of Brandon Miles, he's still pushing flat out. Like Tom said, got plenty of free real estate to work in. No disturbance from the other cars around him. No distractions. Just him and the beautiful bitumen of Belgium. Blanchimont and the final chicane. There's GB keeping his word. There he is in the foreground of shots. Brandon Miles, Tom, just has the bus stop to go.
Was up by 6 tenths per second through Sector 1 and Sector 2. Needs to find a little bit more. Personal best is a 44 flat. Realistically, you need to get into the 41s. Tail wagging as we go through the bus stop. Cutting the beam up to 16th ahead of Matt 212. So jumps away from the wooden spoon battle for the time being. Matt 212 still with the opportunity to snag that place back from him. In fact, here is the Mercedes who made his Creator Series debut, let's not forget, here at the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. A little bit deep into the second part of the bus stop. Does get the car rotated nicely through the final corner. Up to the line we go and into the top 10. 42 flat for Matt 212. Decent little lap time as Fabio and obviously Kareem 70 failed to get round Safso up into the top 10 again to P7. Mercedes and Vince coming through as well. Back up into second place.
Ben's just gone fastest in the middle sector, a 43.0. Into second place goes that guy Vince. Mango on his Creator Series debut, it's a 42.4. And P15, Ricky can't prize pole. Lolin Oba, surprisingly, can't prize pole away. The man to watch is this one, Tiamat Marduk. Fastest in the middle sector. Can he get pole? No! Less than a tenth of a second in it. Can anybody else prize it away? Razin or otherwise?
Well, Razin is absolutely motoring. He's the only driver as Chappers goes 8th to have had multiple pole positions at this circuit. He's got 2. Everybody else that's taken one just with a solitary pole position. Round the bus stop we go for the final time in qualifying. Last week's pole sitter, last week's winner. Can he atop the times again? Yes, he can. And dipping his toes into the 140s, 2 tenths of a second, clear of Kareem 70. And the 91 on his car doing a very lovely job. Pretty in pink in that lovely Miami liveried RB car. And once again, back-to-back Razin Chai goes. Pole in Saudi Arabia, pole in Spa.
Brilliant lap from Razin Chai. What could have been? Ben messed up his first sector. 4/10 slower than Razin. Regardless, though, a clean and committed lap. Razin Chai has pole position for the Belgian Grand Prix. Kareem 70 joins him on the front row. Tiamat Marduk and Ricky make up our second row with that guy Vince lolling over. Grid Jokes, Concept 7, again, very impressive. Ryan L83 and Chappers rounding out the top 10. Safso, Infratic, Tuki, Matt 212, Adam Sarnason, Mango Slayer, Super Noodle Bagel, and Brandon Miles with the ones left yet to set a time. GB and Scotty Designs disqualified. They will start from the very back. What a session. We hand it back over to Kieran McGinley.
Thank you very much. Yes, and a 19th pole position for Razin Chai in Creator Series history, getting it by over 0.2 of a second, and the only driver to drop into the 1-minute 40s. He left it late, TK, but my goodness, what a lap.
He certainly did indeed. I think that might have been his plan from the very get-go. I was keeping an eye on what his chat was saying, what his stream was saying, and just trying to figure out what was going inside of Razin's mind. Because to leave it so late, especially at Spa, where it's so easy to invalidate a run, there had to be either a lot of confidence or a lot of concern, but it was all confidence from Razin.
Yeah, and Lolly Nova might have just sort of pulled the trigger slightly too early. Still, he starts in a very, very strong position going into this one. And looking at Belgium, as we've already discussed, a short run down towards their hairpin. Probably a really good idea to be more towards the front of the order than rather in the midfield.
Yeah, midfield's not going to be a place that you want to start in Belgium, is it? You want to be in those opening, maybe 1 or 2 rows. Anything further back than that, you really are going to be stuck in that mid-pack and kind of trying to dodge and weave your way around everybody else that's trying to get yourselves involved. Equally, on the other hand, if you look at the likes of Scotty or GB, starting right from the back, that could be the play. But I have got a couple of clips just to show you, Kieran, if you want to indulge me for a couple of moments' time. Let's do it. Let's have a look at a couple of moments from qualifying. So one of them, the first one, this man, GB, stepping back in. We knew his plan was always going to be to retire at the very start, or sorry, rather at the very end. But look at what he does here. Look at the time at the top right, closing down before that car gets taken over from him. And he manages to get himself disqualified with just 1 second remaining. But then the car does this. And that could have ended in disaster for so many of the drivers. As an AI car, as we all are aware, pulling across the track doesn't necessarily end the way you'd want to. And just the other one I want to bring to your attention very quickly. It's this man, pole sitter Razin Chai. Look at the bottom right. Look at the confidence in him as he heads through the bus stop chicane and across the line. It almost as if he knew that that was coming. There is cool, calm, collected moves, and that is certainly one of them, Kieran.
Absolutely, a 19th pole position in his Creator Series history, and yeah, as you said, just cool, calm, and it was always going to happen, wasn't it? It's that mentality. Can he make back-to-back victory? We shall wait and see. But we'll hand it back to our commentary team of Carl Paranek and Tom Wilkinson.
Well, thank you, Kieran. Thank you, TK. I think this should be quite the spicy one. The weather, as it was in qualifying, set fair, but there's tyre strategies. Very much a mix. Now, Carl, we know that on this game, hard tyres are very, very strong. The mediums, as we see somebody in the Ferrari flying through the polystyrene advertising boardings and almost taking out a few of his competitors. If we look at the strategic cars that are going to be laid down, what kind of strategies are going to be viable? We've got the top 3 on the softs, the majority of drivers favouring the mediums, and then Adam Sanderson in the mid-pack going for those hard tyres. It almost takes one of the McLarens with him.
He's trying. It's a rite of passage in the Creator Series, the formation lap. Well, annihilation, for lack of a better term. There it is. There's the attempt. Whether he was successful or not, we shall soon find out. Never mind, he has been spawned back into the Shadow Realm. Strategy, yes, is going to be very interesting, not least because, like Mexico, we had last season for the realistic cars, the hard tyre is 2 compounds harder, than the medium tyres. That means while they'll retain their pace very well, that tyre warming at the beginning, and also their initial pace, their initial fire up is going to be a very big burden. Hence why pretty much every single driver has gone for that soft or the medium tyre. Very interesting to see the comparisons. Of course, the top 3 going for the soft compound tyres, want to maintain that track position. Others playing the long game, like Ricky 03 and that guy Vince. It's all a bit of a cat and mouse here.
100%. And if we remember back to Saudi Arabia a week ago, so we've got an Alpine doing some lawn mowing and some gravel churning coming on the exit of the Fanya chicane. Razinchai started on the soft tyres. Lolinoba started on the mediums. When we had a late race safety car, Razin had the flexibility to use up one of his good tyres that he had left. He still had a set of medium tyres that he could use, and that effectively won in the race. Lolly had used both of his mediums. He'd used his set of hard tyres as well. That meant he had to use the softs, which did degrade very quickly. So it is a real balancing act. Starting on tyres, starting on the soft tyres, you do need to keep your wits about you and think about lap 44 in this case.
McLaren and Frati getting turned into a Beyblade by our pole sitter for this race, but here we are. The final few line up on the grid, and I absolutely concur. But Belgium, what a track this is going to be. There's a Red Bull doing some burnouts and some donuts to appease the crowd. It's not going to do miracles for their tyre wear. Next Tim at Monic trying to go on for the kill on one of the Haas cars. Now for the McLaren, point and shoot. Never mind, track to beam activated. What are you going to do? There's your strategies according to F125, medium, hard, or the softer compounds. You be the judge. But now the tension can just begin to creep in.
Just the drivers on the start. 165-metre dash into the braking zone from where Razinchai is sitting. But you got to think about the rest of the sector. This could be quite the lottery, everybody. What numbers are you picking? We get ready to go racing here in Spa-Francorchamps. 5 lights ahead of the drivers. The gong doesn't go off, but we do go racing with the RB and the Aston Martin leading us down. Tim and Martin already very punchy, trying to find a space, but late under brakes is Dat Govin, slams into the side pod of the former two-time champ and could get gobbled up by both Ferraris, and Concept 7 trying to make up places too. Razinchai desperately trying to escape away, but Kareem 17 following him up through Rouge and Radion with the former two-time champ, the Australian ace, very much in the ballpark as well. Defensive shape thrown by Razin because he knows he's going to be under pressure. The Aston Martin to the outside. Where is Tim and Mark in this battle? Who's braver under brakes? Is Kareem going to get the light of day around the outside? Razinchai gets his elbows out, and the former Season 5 champion holds off the Season 9 champion. And the pole sitter just about still in the lead. Hold that thought though, because diving down the inside of Rivage we go. Razinchai still not done with this. Kareem 17 will not let this go as the Aston Martin dices away with the RB, but finally through No Name, Razin keeps him at bay.
Yeah, great racing and respect. Kareem 17 knows just how important that track position is going to be, so he's hounding the diffuser of that V-card, maybe even taking a bit of a nibble out of it. Still pushing the battery into oblivion round the outside. These two are inseparable during this first lap of the Belgian Grand Prix. Kareem thinks he's got it done, but Razim has the momentum around the outside. Then it's Kareem's turn to feel the pain of the suboptimal grip of the outside, but now he can sweep round at Stavelo too and take the lead of the race. Barnstorming battle in Belgium already as the car went spinning. That's Ryan 83 round at the exit of Stavelo 2.
I think he's still going, but he has dropped a long way back. Thankfully, all of his wheels are still on his wagon, unlike they were at this stage last week in Saudi Arabia. But look, a gaggle of cars all over the back of him as they are trying to do one over on his teammate GB, who's under pressure but still trying to fight forward. Razinchai with an abhorrent run through the bus stop chicane, and Tim Malik says thank you very much and leaves the former Ferrari man to dice and deal with both the Scarlet cars who are very much on his tail.
Yeah, Lolinoba's made up good ground at the start. Fantastic stuff from him. Up 2 places. Looked a bit dicey between himself and Concept as Vince went into the back of Tiamat Marduk. But here we are. The Australian sensation with the first dose of DRS has hardly had to use any battery. The others, he knows, they have been burning the battery. They have been battling brutally. And Tiamat Marduk moves into the lead of the Belgian Grand Prix in Creator Series. And Razin and Kareem run it back. So nice, they're battling twice. Razin comes out on top, and that's going to become an exponential sinking feeling. One Ferrari goes through. Can Ricciardo 3 displace the Aston Martin driver as well? He's going to try his absolute utmost. Great wheel-to-wheel racing. This is superlative stuff from every single driver, and Ricciardo 3 moves on through as well.
Count them down, 1, 2, 3, 4, all of them taking a chunk out of Kareem 17. Concept fancied it down the inside into Pooh, and I think there was a little bit of contact between himself and the Mercedes at that Govins. Through goes the McLaren of Infratic Grid Jokes as well, helping himself. Buffet driving as from 7th down to 9th goes Concept 7 and can get himself reacquainted with his teammate Chappers. Can't take your eyes off this. Blink and you'll miss it stuff in the opening couple of laps. Tim Martin from third on the grid. We saw straight away off the line. He looked really, really punchy. Had to bide his time on the opening lap as Cream and Raz were knocking 10 bells out of each other. But he has found himself in the lead of the race. Emphatic getting stuck in. Didn't have the best of qualifyings, but he's now got himself firmly inside the top 10, maybe up to P7 as he dices with Grid Jokes down to the bus stop chicane. The Sauber doesn't fancy it, backs out of that one, and from 12th on the grid, that is now P7 for Fabio.
Great progress so far. Fastest lap, unsurprisingly, for Tiamat Marduk as Brazin Chai tries to follow him hot on his heels. These two will not want to fight whatsoever, particularly if they're looking for a result in this race. Those Ferraris on the mediums, they will just get stronger and stronger as they go on through. Also to highlight, GB, decent start from 19th on the grid. He's up to P14 already. But look at this, 14 cars nose to tail. Only one of them can be at the forefront, and it's going to be Rasin Chai who takes back that first place here in Belgium. An easy move, academic, into Lecom.
Easy as you like. From TK down in Clipbook Corner, saying that Adam Sanderson saying the hard tyres feel absolutely dreadful. That is what you pointed out, Carl. They are a step harder compared to what they normally would be. Traditionally on the F1 game, the hard tyres are absolutely king, but, and this is the beauty of Spa, with that offset tyre difference, it's going to be a little bit harder to make them fire up in the early stages. That is a beautiful move straight out of the back catalogue of GB68 in the Creator Series. Around the outside of Virage, gets it done into No Name and up into 13.
GB initials of a country. He's putting in an intercontinental performance so far, and it's only been 3 laps. Absolutely searing stuff. It's Tuki, though, that could be on the move, trying to battle Safso into this second sweeping chicane that we have. Safso shuts the door firmly on that opportunity. Again, still those 14 cars remain nose to tail in this race. None of them want to yield. All of them sending absolute cruise missiles at every single corner. No one is safe. Doesn't matter what apex you're at here in the Ardennes Forest.
This is where we're going to see the dicing and the duels, and the sparring continue to go on until we see the strategies diverge when it gets to the first round of stops. Leading duo, remember, both of them on the red striped soft compound tyre. Kareem 17 would be loving if he was up there with them. He was at one stage, but dropping behind the two Ferraris who are running the yellow walled medium tyres means that Kareem's just in a bit of a sticky situation after starting on the front row. GB continuing to get stuck in, by the way, trying to take 12th place off the hands of Tuki into La Source. I think he might have done it and has. So GB continuing to fire on all cylinders, as is Tiamat Marduk. 2 former winners here. Both of them started on pole before as well, but it is the RB that took it in qualifying. But once again, through goes the white ball back up into the lead of the race.
Both Red Bull affiliated cars dicing and duking it out here in Belgium. It's Concept 7 that tries to look for a manoeuvre. Grid Jokes just braver on the brakes. Those softs will still hold that overall grip advantage for the time being, as our very own Scotty Designs, by the way, makes his way through. No real surprise. Those hard tyres are still going to be a pain to try and fire up and try and get the grip into for at least the first probably 8 or 9 laps compared to those softer compound tyres. Yes, they have the durability, but the pace is just plummeting in comparison. We highlight Mango. It's a Haas line astern for 16th and 17th. Probably not ideal, but regardless, 15 cars almost. Chapper's now getting disjointed in that middle of the pack. Lots of them wanting to try and get away. But in the case of Kareem 70, as you mentioned earlier, yes, you want to have that track position. Yes, you want to fight as much as you can, but just play it patient. It's a long, long race. Lap 4 out of 44. Every apex is an opportunity. Just got to bide your time.
He's had some trials and tribulations at this venue before as well. Both of the previous times he's raced at Spa was very much in the lead fight, but picked up damage at differing stages, confining him to finishes in the lower reaches of the top 10, if not outside of it. And he definitely wants to keep all the bits of carbon fibre glued to his car. That's when it's all over the back of Cream into the bus stop chicane. Same with Matt 2-on-2, who's very close to the back of Tuki, who has leaked a couple of places after a decent start on the run down into La Source. First real break of the DRS train actually comes with Grid Jokes in 8th, you can see there. Struggling to cling onto the coattails of that lead group of 7, with Chappers a second and a half off the back of his teammate as well.
Well, that makes Concept 7's life much, much easier, but again, run it back, run the rhythm. Razin Chai looking to send Belgium into a crescendo, to send fury from Faenza flowing through the veins of the Red Bull driver, and so he does again, back into the lead here on lap number 5, as Brandon Miles says he just can't keep up. They're absolutely rapid. Do you know what? Credit where credit is due. You're remaining within a second still, so don't throw your hat out of the ring just yet, Brandon Miles. There's still every opportunity. Lap number 5, we're also hearing from our resident Ted Kravitz, Mr. TK, that 4 of the top 6 are under-fueled. I wonder who one of them is.
Yeah, just trying to think, is there somebody that always underfuels, has titled some of his Creator Series videos as the minimum fuel challenge? We can try and work that one out. Cream 17, by the way, splitting the Ferraris now, had to be on the button because Ricciardo 3 did briefly fall out of the 1 second window of his teammate. The Aston Martin piling on through and getting back up inside the top 4. Chapman a little bit wide there as Tuki was smelling, sensing the smallest of opportunities to send it down the inside, shoot it down the inside and get up into P12. As it is, he remains in 13th with that 2 on 2, still for company behind Ryan 83, right at the back of this tertiary chasing DRS train with a little duo of Concept 7 and Grid Jokes in a bit of clean air to themselves. Look at the battery here, look at the run that Tuki was potentially getting up to the back of Chappers, doesn't want to go for it into Blanchimont corner and maybe a little bit too far back again to dive it down the inside into the bus stop.
All the red light blinking, and red light spells danger for the Williams car, but Tuki just remains behind for the time being. Again, to highlight the scintillating progress that GB has made. Up to P11 already, it's only lap number 6. So he has, like I said, the affinity with the Belgian Grand Prix that he has. He's absolutely flying out there. One of these key details that I just want to highlight, Razin and Tiamat Marduk, I don't think there's going to be an overtake on this particular occasion. They make their way down, the Kemmel straight, 6.5 tenths to gap, and Tiamat Marduk much more interested in sitting behind for the time being. What is interesting though, as I'm just skating around on points of view, I'd be pretty confident that some of these drivers have put their brakes pretty far forward in comparison to what I think they would be, as Tuki shows the nose to the inside at the very last moment. Chapper's not phased though, he remains firm, but a lot of them could be running at about 56% brake bias. They want to protect the rear tyres, particularly if they're on those softs. Traction is paramount here.
100%. Got to be so delicate, haven't you? With the rear tyres, at some point you're going to feel like you're treading on eggshells, but that is the game you have to play. Does Adam Sanson have a bit of front wing damage there? Yes. Missing the left-hand end plate, so that is not a good start, especially considering he said his tyres are feeling absolutely terrible. Maybe we can see what happened, because there were some skirmishes and some bumps and scrapes on the opening lap. Scotty Designs, by the way, I don't know why I said Adam Sanson with front wing damage. It's Scotty with the missing wing. TK with the same initials, of course, as Ted Kravitz. Can you enlighten us a little bit?
Well, I will certainly give you my best bet. First point of view that I want to take you through, of course, it had to be that guy Vince. The send down the inside into the source was the one that may feed generations. We're right on board with him here, and you can see just the race start that he got. Keep an eye though, Ricky on his left-hand side, because I believe that's where most of the damage did occur from. He sends Mercedes down the inside, absolutely misses his braking zone, goes sailing, actually, into the white ball of Tiamat Marduk, and the frustration that you can hear if you go back and watch the clip and go back and watch his replay. He was so self-evident of what he'd just done. It was so accidental, and unfortunately didn't quite pay off the best for him this time around. Another start point of view though, this time Razin Chai. A tale of two cities for some of our drivers, and a tale of two swords edges. Because Razin had an almighty start in towards the first corner, benefiting from that contact with Tiamat Marduk, allowed it to become what was a two-horse race as they ran down up towards Eau Rouge and Radion and up to the top of the Kemmel Straight. He looks dominant from the very start, or look to try and continue that forwards as well. There was a moment slightly further forwards, whereas they hit the Kemmel Straight, hit the Les Combes chicane, tried to go too wide with Krim 70, but again, the defensive masterclass as Krim sends it down the inside. This stroke of beautiful racing as they go side by side here. Absolutely stunning. They gave each other racing room, and that is what it's all about. Just one final moment before we take you back to that full racing. Ryan 83 didn't have the best of starts, not one to write home about, and this was just a little bit of a moment here as he came through the right-hander in a brief moment, just steps out onto the gravel. Car wants to try and spin around, but fair play to Ryan. Does rather well to try and keep it pointing in the correct direction. We'll see it in the next couple of moments. Here we go, just steps out onto the gravel, rear end wants to throw round, and an incredible save from the second Alpine running at the moment. Unfortunately, didn't quite catch what happened to Scotty. We will go and have a look though.
Thank you very much, TK. Yeah, that is really good job there from Ryan. Massive armful of opposite lock going out of the second stabilo as Cream 70 dancing, ducking, weaving underneath the rear wing of Lonanova. His soft compound tyre still working very nicely as he continues to apply the blowtorch to the lead Ferrari and try and get back on terms with Razin and Tiamat Marduk in the lead. Top 7 still just about in a train of their own, with Concept 7 a further 1.1 seconds back. Has got himself ahead of Grid Jokes, who's lost another almost 2 seconds to that group in front. And then it is GB up inside the top 10 for the very first time. Disposed of Chappers, disposed of Safso, and we do need to watch for the former Aston Martin man.
I'm almost sad that we can't have clips longer than a minute, because I wish we could have seen the whole of Razin and Kareem's battle. Just excellent racing room and respect the entire way through. There's a Mercedes in the background. I thought it was going for manoeuvres. It's Matt 212 and Chappers. I was looking very, very far in the background then, good grief, but it's Safso and GB. Through goes Safso with a bit of DRS. Matt 212 gets Chappers for P12. Rhinal 83 now staring at the back of Tukey, but pushing to the absolute limit. A brief look at ERS, but it is a very big talking point, the ERS, because at the front of the field, how much battery do you want to use? Razin's in complete control now. He knows as the soft tyres wear out for everybody else behind him, he's just going to get stronger and stronger with less abrasion running through them. The counterbalance, though, is that Lolinoba on those medium tyres is getting stronger and stronger in his own right. Was very close to threatening Tiamat Marduk on the last lap. Is biding his time with the battery, and surely it really is only a matter of time.
Yeah, Ben had a bit of a scruffy middle sector, now 0.8 per second off the back of Razin. This will be a battery recovery lap for GB68, so they're just into the mind of the driver of how they're thinking about approaching the battery, using it to get past it. You just need to save a little bit. You want to keep it as a bit of a fail-safe, don't you? If you are in a little bit of strife, you do need to dig in a little bit to make sure you don't lose any critical places on the road after a bit of a blunder. That battery usage is definitely there just to keep you in touch with the group in front. Say if you drop out of the 1 second window, that's where the alarm bells start ringing. You do maybe just need to use up a little bit more than you would like to keep yourself in the game for the long term.
Could agree more with you. Lap number 9 of this Belgian race, almost a quarter of the way through as GB sails wide at La Source. I saw the gap between him and Safso really be chomped at the bit by the RB driver, and that was because of that corner. Another mistake on the brakes. GB still getting used to the equipment, but nonetheless an impressive drive. Tiamat Marduk, though, not content with sitting behind anymore. With DRS, Lolinoba went for the aggressive send. Ricky goes for the send. Fabio makes contact with the rear right tyre. He's quietly gone about his business, made his way to P6, and now he's about to inherit the P5 position into the top 5. The McLaren man will slot into proceedings, and that is a collected and cool move, taking advantage of the contact between Ricky and Kareem.
Gets past one of his former stablemates, but I think he is a little bit lucky there. That looked like a heavy whack from Ricky into the front wing of that McLaren as they were coming out through the Lake Com chicane. So if he hasn't got any damage, which cosmetically looks like that Papyrus throwing car is still running and riding absolutely perfectly, we'll just be feeling a little bit lucky there, because that very easily could have chipped off part of his front wing and made his life even harder than it needs to be.
I know old man that will know the answer. Our resident man TK, I'm sure he's on the blower right now, just trying to discover that. We have some time penalties reigning in. Grid Joke, Scotty Designs, and now Super Noodle Bagel, all picking up time penalties in this race after only 9 laps of proceedings. But this is a good position to be in for the likes of Tiamat Marduk, who's on the radio saying, I think Lolinoba will get us now. I am slower than Razin. I was going to say, surely only a matter of time before the crossover between those mediums and softs come about. Again, power sliding and doing a maximised burnout on the exit is the Australian driver out in front. Razin Chai, we look behind as Lolinoba just tries to edge closer and closer to prizing away P2 on the road. Still plenty of cars, now 8 cars. Concept 7 has quietly gone about it and has just managed to creep back into DRS. So credit where credit is due, he's made his way back. What opportunities that could open up. But the Italian stallion, he's not content. Could it be a double move potentially if he's feeling really brave? Looks to the outside, but it's Razin Chai who shuts the door, turns defense into attack, and it's another cool, collected and cutthroat move from the RB driver.
Worked well there though, Razin and Ben, to keep the Ferrari at bay for the time being. Lolly was faced with the prospect of having to try and drive down the grass to get in between at least one of those 2 cars. In the picture-in-picture you can see there the Haas going around the outside. That is Manga getting past Brandon Miles in the battle for 18th and 19th position. Grid Jokes, by the way, dropped down into last. He has been through the pits. He's made his first stop. He's blinked earlier than everybody else, chucked on a set of the hard compound tyres, which Adam Sanson has been saying were absolutely dreadful in the first few laps. Through that warm-up, that tricky warm-up phase, trying to fire the tyres up as best as you possibly can. Look at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the lead group of cars. 3.6 seconds back to GB in ninth, leading the secondary chasing peloton.
Well, GB's found his skates again, back ahead of Safso. That's good news for him. We'll see how Adam's tyres get into their own. There might well be people considering a 1-stop today, whether it is the softs to the hards or the mediums to the hards, but they've got to be aware as Infratic is trying to go round the outside of Blanchimont. Max Verstappen-esque from 2015. Bravery beyond the Call of Duty. He's going to try and get 2 for the price of 1. Kareem 17 fights some more, and it's going to be a duel, a drag race down towards La Source, which Infratic does concede. He wants all the battery he can have. The more he doesn't make those moves, though, on the soft compound tyre runners ahead, the more it opens up for those waiting in the wings behind.
Big question time. We thought we would be chatting about Lolanobu, 0.6 per second off the back of Ben, maybe just calling that potential chance. We saw how close he's got on the past couple laps, but it's his teammate that might be on the groove and on the move and in the groove. Terrible phrase to say. Almost 3 wide here behind the leading trio. It's Kareem on the inside. Fabio going through the middle. Is he going to be brave? Ricky gets squeezed down on the outside. It's now Fabio on the outside of the Lake Com chicane. That is absolutely beautiful from the Papaya McLaren car. Kareem 17 with nothing to fight for on those ailing soft tyres. Ricky with nowhere to go. And up into 4th place goes Fabio, charging through the field. Very, very nicely indeed. Looking menacing at the 3 in front of him now.
Death Kiss takes 2 to tango, and it's a 10 from Craig. A brief yellow flag, as I think it's the McLaren of Tukey having a minor moment into the right-hander before No Name, but he's okay. He's on his merry way. Ryan L83 has dropped behind Adam Sanderson as well in all of this. He could well have had a moment too. Still, Lolin like you say, we thought we were going to be talking about him. Now half a second behind Tiamat Marduk and could well be on the move and in the groove. As Uncfratic says, let's go. Well, quite right. Absolutely, let's go. Transferring up into P4 for a moment was outside of the DRS. Has to do well to stay in it, though. He is just falling short at the moment.
122 race starts for Fabio in the Creator Series. Most experienced driver still yet to stand atop the podium. 5 podium finishes, no wins as yet. Things looking pretty good in these early stages. Only a quarter of the way through the Belgian Grand Prix. Kareem goes incredibly deep into the bus stop chicane. Clearly striking his tag guy Vince, by the way. Baines Adieu at the back of them and a big gaggle of cars following him into the pit lane. GB and Safso to start them off. I think there was a Williams going in with them as well. That was a big error there from Kareem 17. Might leave himself under the microscope once again with very little battery to work with also. I don't think he's going to get the DRS.
Doesn't look like it. Ricky 03 is licking his lips for this opportunity. He's going to make his way on through with, well, rather academic ease as that guy Vince peels out of the pit lane. In fact, loads and there's a gaggle of cars into the pit lane as we highlight the Sauber of, I think, Grid Jokes, who does get out ahead of GB, but did pit a couple of laps ago. Has had 2 laps now on the hard compound tyres. Good news for him, as they will be well warmed up into the window. Ricky 03 made his way past Kareem 17. Concept 7 is hounding the rear of that Aston Martin car now.
And look at the front. It's now Tiamat Marduk leading proceedings once again. Lolanobu was very close. I think we didn't quite catch it. I think they might have been 3 wide once again going down into the Lake Com chicane, but once again it was the Ferrari being given the cold shoulder and couldn't at least get himself in between the Red Bull and the Racing Bulls car. And he's got to be careful now because Fabio, also on the medium tyres, looking very punchy, very racy in there as well, is just going to cause Lolanobu a little bit of concern. Going to have to keep his wits about him a little bit more. Can't exclusively look forwards out of the halo. Might just need to take a look in the mirrors once a few times.
Quite right. Fabio's just been getting stronger and stronger in this race as far as I can tell, as Rasin Chai in the wheel tracks, in the slipstream, looking to keep a hold of that DRS. Lolanobu closing in all the time though, just piling on the pressure little by little, bit by bit, into the bus stop. A tiny bit of a slide from Rasin Chai, but that's because he's peeling into the pit lane, the first of the lead lot to blink.
100%. Jumping in earlier than maybe would have expected. But Statka Vince on the previous lap coming in, thinking about that undercut. Doesn't want to lose too much track position because Vince is pretty quick at the moment on those brand new hard compound tyres compared to the ailing softs. Gives Tiamat Marduk a little bit of a buffer as well over Lolanobu. Into the bus stop we go with GB tangling and dicing away with Grid Jokes, almost side by side, eyeball to eyeball. But it is what was 12th place. Going to pick up a couple more with Scotty Designs in the pit lane. Razim Chai emerges, spat out of the pits directly behind the Red Bulls of Adam Sanderson. Will he be close enough to maybe use the DRS and a bit of battery to his advantage to blast past down the Kemmel Straight? Be touch and go because he doesn't really want to follow that Red Bull through the middle sector.
He'd certainly be hoping he can get a move on down the road, as Kareem 17 says, box, those soft tyres are toast. This is about the lap I expected the soft tyres. Very surprised at a lot of the medium runners, though, binning off that compound as well. to get the hard compound tyre on and go for that potential longer stint. Needless to say, Racing Chai, his priority at the moment is to pick the pocket of Adam Sanderson, shows the nose to the inside, the Red Bull driver. It's not really his race, no real interest in holding up the charge of last week's race winner, and Racing Chai well on his way now.
Adam probably learning a bit from last week as well. It wasn't quite his fault, but he did fight Riccio 3 very, very hard when the Ferrari had much fresher tyres. Led to Adam getting spun round and losing a whole host of places. So maybe just developing that awareness, let's say, to pick his battles a little bit better, even though it wasn't necessarily his fault, the contact that was made by Ricky giving him a big old squeeze going through turn number 2 at Jeddah early on in that race, and really ended Adam's chances of what was looking pretty good. Could have definitely finished inside the top 5. Ended up P9 in the end with a good battling recovery drive to get inside the top 10. Could have been so much better. Razin currently 16.5 seconds off the lead, as that looked a little bit unsteady for Cream 17 as he makes his way into the pit lane along with the former 2-time champion Tiamat Marduk. A couple of laps later than Vince, 1 lap later than Razin Chai. How strong is that undercut going to be? He's absolutely motoring in the middle sector, as is GB68.
Absolutely. I think they'll be fine from that guy Vince, because Vince had to change his front wing, of course, after that first lap excursion. But in the case of GB and Racing Chai, they are absolutely flying out there. Ben, of course, does have the shorter run out of the pit lane. Is hoping to prize onto DRS. There goes Racing Chai back into the provisional lead of this race once all pit stops are said and done. I think Ben has just about by the skin of his teeth held on to DRS, and that was of paramount importance to keep ahead of his teammate, who probably really had no interest in fighting him, let's be honest, but to also keep himself away of this man in the background, GB, looking for the move.
GB was talking about a top 5. Yeah, top 5 might be possible from the back of the grid. He's net 3rd place here, because where on earth has Cream 17 got a further 3 seconds back down the road? It's going to be the inside into Rivage for GB. Wants to try and keep tabs on Razin and Ben in front to give himself a shot at winning this race. Adam leaves the door open, respectful racing to the outside of No Name we go. And that is a lovely, lovely move from GB. Yes, he's got the tyre advantage, but he gets it done to pinpoint accuracy. And that is a net 3rd place for himself. He's only 3 seconds off the back of Razin now. Game on.
I don't know if all of you can lip read, but I think you can probably tell what kind of words GB was saying, egging himself on, and quite right he should. He's absolutely on it. Foot flat to the floor, every single opportunity, equipment change or not, you cannot stop this man round the Belgian Grand Prix. He'd always find his way back to the front. Looks like Ben didn't even get DRS off of Razin in the end. Is now 1.6 seconds behind, does have the newer tyres, of course, does have the same medium compound tyres, and that would mean a 2-stop for those two, trusting in those softer compounds, whereas others on those hard compounds will see what the ebb and flow is like. But this is going to be very interesting indeed.
100%. That divergence in strategy, what some drivers going for those hard tyres, which Adam Sanderson has said do not feel very good. He's still going on the tyres that he started the race on, 14 laps accrued as yet, but they don't feel particularly nice. And like I said, surely that would filter out some of the drivers that they feel like a really, really horrible race time. Maybe it has got through definitely to Adam Sanderson's teammate Tiamat Marduk, favouring the medium tyres at this stage of the race, but not quite on the same level of Razin at the moment. Just dropping time, leaking time throughout the lap. 1.6 seconds that gap has extended to now, and he's almost closer to GB than he is to the pole sitter.
Look at the top 4 we have as well. Lolin Ober, Fabio in the McLaren, Ricky 03, it's a Ferrari 1-3, and then Concept 7 in P4 again. Again, goes under the radar, but the Williams driver is having a cracking run here at the Belgian Grand Prix. Razin was being held behind by Tuki. He said, not for long, sunshine. I have a mission. I have a score to settle. Through he goes into P6 and well on the charge. We're hearing as well, Tiamat Marduk, guess what? It's fuel talk. He's minus 1.3 laps down on fuel. Razin also at minus 1.16, so both of them not exactly getting away with it in terms of the fuel. They'll be praying for some kind of later safety car, perhaps. Lap number 15 of the Belgian Grand Prix. If you've just tuned in, welcome to the Creator Series. This is the story. Lolin Ober, the Italian stallion, he is leading again in the Creator Series. Couldn't quite do it last week at Saudi Arabia, but the ball is in his court at the moment. Fabio, Ricky 03, in hot pursuit with DRS at their disposal. Concept 7 in P4 just languishing outside of that allotted zone, but nonetheless an impressive drive so far. Matt 212 yet to pit. It's all about Rasin Chai and this man Tiamat Marduk in the bottom right of your screen, looking for the maneuver, a switchback potentially at last source. Will do well to wait behind though. He knows what he knows what's at his disposal. My brain's moving faster than my mouth. The point is, he bides his time. He has DRS. Through he goes. It's academic, as is the case for this man, Rasin Chai, up into P5.
Brain's still moving faster than my internet there as the net race leader does blast through. Tiamat Marduk, interesting one. Obviously, he wanted the helping out of the DRS to blast back through, but did he lose too much time there? Stuck behind Tukey. It's made not too much of a difference in terms of where he is to Matt 212, but Rasin's a further second up the road. So interesting tactics there, and it also will probably bring GB a little bit closer towards him. And now 5 seconds as well, separating GB and Kareem 7T. This race, ever since that little bit of a blunder on the second lap where Rasin got through, Ben got through, the 2 Ferraris filed through as well. Kareem 7T hasn't really managed to recover that lost time. He's now comfortably off the back of the drivers. He was racing nearly 10 seconds, the tune, between himself and Rasin.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's also, we answered the question, he went for the hard tyres. That's why he's also losing so much time compared to those leading cars of Rasin, Tiamat Marduk and GB provisionally. Now only 9 seconds between the next car up the road. Well, the leader of the race, nearly 5 seconds between Rasin and Concept 7. He is absolutely loving life at this Belgian Grand Prix track. We're highlighting GB, 19th on the grid, by the way, up to P8. Absolutely excellent stuff. Otherwise, battles. Tiamat Marduk is done waiting. Matt 212 just slaloms out of the way. No real necessity to fight the Red Bull driver, who is on the rampage.
100%, but 3 seconds now, the gap between himself and Rasin Chai. You can see there, GB68. It's not the British racing green of the Aston Martin, it's the flash of pink and blue of Alpine this time. The Enstone colours draping around GB68 as he continues to cruise up to the back of one of his former championship rivals. The battle out front continues. Said it's a 1-3 for Ferrari. I'd go further and say it's still a 1-2-3 for Ferrari with Fabio in the middle there. 7/10 off the back of Lodinova. Ricky's just losing touch ever so slightly. And we saw this last week, actually. Maybe it's something to talk about with Lolly's qualifying. He was comfortably quicker than Ricky in the race, but qualifying-wise, missed an opportunity. Qualified behind Ricky last week, behind Ricky again this week. He was punchy on the first lap, got ahead of his team, but maybe just leaving himself with a little bit too much to do with some minor underperformance over one lap. Didn't improve, remember, on his final lap of the session.
I think it's a credit to the 2 drivers as well, Lolinova and Bricky. They have both pulled their finger out for this season. They're absolutely loving it. As a Williams goes through on a Haas, that is lovely to see. But not only that as well, the rate of improvement from Ricky has also been something that I will commend. He's done an excellent job. GB burning the battery out of Buon, has got Matt 212 on older tyres. Again, no real necessity to stop the Alpine driver in the Enstone outfit. The blue blur makes its way through into P7. A bit of a stalemate though in terms of the gaps now. Rasin 2.7 behind Concept. Tiamat Marduk also 2.7 behind Rasin. GB 2.5 off of Ben. So there's going to need to be something special that's pulled out of the hat by any one of these drivers to try and close those gaps down.
And what's going to come first? The pit stops for the leaders, or Rasin Chai catches them? Well, Ricky's definitely going to get out of the way. He jumps into the pits before his teammate to get shots of his medium compound tyres. You would expect, traditionally, the hard tyre to the end of the race will be the punch that he pulls. And you can see there, yes, I think those are the white striped hard compound tyres that he will re-emerge on and probably filter out in and around where that guy Vince is, maybe a little bit further forward. There was a big gap forming between, I think it was Tukey and Kareem 17, no, Tukey and Matt 212, maybe 3 seconds. Here comes Ricky out of the pits. There is the Sauber of grid jokes, and he is going to be ahead of Adam Sanderson and Dackler. You can see the flash of Mercedes there coming through turn 1. A little bit of nice track space. He's not too far away from Kareem 70 either.
And those hard compound tyres. So one stopping seems to be that first Ferrari car on the road. What will Lolinova in Fratic Concept do? That is a question that remains to be answered. Kareem 17 goes through on Tukey. That guy Vince simply surges past Adam Sanderson, who's on those hard compound tyres, up into P12 with a full front wing. That guy Vince looks absolutely imperious, and now he's within a second of Ricky up ahead. Super Noodle Bagel making moves on the Williams of Chappers. A decent battle for P16, won by the American Dream for now.
100%. Nearly halfway through. Every driver still running, which we didn't have this time last week. Of course, we lost a couple of drives, Ryan L83, notably on the opening lap. Didn't even get out of the first sector, almost didn't get out of the first lap, but with that monumental save, did a very good job to keep it pointing in the straight line and also keep all four wheels on his wagon. Lolly, Infratic, continue to soldier on. Concept 7 behind has been caught and subsequently passed by Razin Chai. Now 4 seconds the gap between himself and the leading duo. That looked very comfortable going through Blanchemont. And there is TMM Marduk, just taking about a second out of Razin on this lap. So he's been stuck behind the Williams. Can Ben try and catch Concept at the perfect opportunity to grab a bit of DRS, maybe down the Kemmel Straight, and save himself a little bit of lost time in the middle sector.
Ben hails his origins, apparently, in sim racing to a game called Crash Team Racing. Well, less I say about that, possibly the better, but it looks like he will catch Concept 7 at the opportune moment. Is within a second to grab that DRS and keep the gap relatively similar between himself and Razin, if not just compress it a little bit. We'll have to feel the pain of following in the dirty air through Les Combes. In fact, it's just going to save the battery a little bit to try and attack at some point midway through the lap. A move through Eau Rouge and Radion though. Kareem 17 might be on the hard tyres, hasn't quite got his way, but what has materialised is a marvellous manoeuvre. Grid jokes through on Tukey, down the Kemmel Straight. That guy Vince through on Ricky 03, down the Kemmel Straight. Those hard tyres just will not fire up for at least a couple of laps, and that is even more pain for the Ferrari driver.
Big advantage that Vince has got there. Yes, he was handicapped a little bit by chipping off part of his front wing and adding a further 6 seconds or so to his time behind to get it changed. Well, that is absolutely perfect there. A freebie handed out for Tim at Malik. It's like a magic trick. There you go. And there you go behind me as well. He's used his lag switch to perfection there as Ben to jump the Williams behind him, chuck him behind going through Pure, and now he's got a clear track through the second half of the lap. Absolutely beautiful stuff.
That's the most immaculately executed DDoS attack from TMF Marduk that I think I have ever seen in all of my races of league racing commentary. Fantastic stuff. Slap it in overtake of the week. That's it right there. On the front page, on the back page, it is this Australian driver who has still kept that gap at 1.6 seconds. So the teleportation has really helped out the Red Bull driver. Grid jokes looks to be a man on a mission and a man on the move. Bus stop chicane awaits. Is he going to go inside, outside? Doesn't really matter. Left and right, and quite possibly good night on the Mercedes driver. Through goes Grid jokes into P8 on the road, and that's because Matt 212 peels into the pit lane.
Doesn't take away from how lovely a move that was, even though he had to only contend with half of the bus stop chicane. Lovely overtake. We're seeing some great battles. I remember you can send your best overtakes at the week at hotmail.com. Ryan83, I think, will be absolutely delighted to receive some of those and kickstart what was a legendary series back in the day. Here we go with GB, saying that he's starting to struggle a little bit with his pedals, but the pace is still fairly strong. Has dropped 4 seconds off the back of Ben, but does take 5th place off the hands of Concept 7. And still lapping pretty nicely comparatively to Cream 17. That gap's still around about 6 seconds between himself and the Aston Martin. Concept 7 back in the session, losing all of that time after that disconnection that gave Tim at Marduk 4th place on a plate.
That is great news. Good to see Concept 7 back. Meanwhile, I have to wonder what strategy Lolly and Infratic are trying to execute here. If it's a medium and 2 sets of softs, if they're going for that 1 stop, because those on the 2 stop, they've already caught them. Racin's caught up to the back of Fabio, is now munching within a second, in fact eroding that gap at a rapid rate of knots. So again, I do have to pose the question here, Tom. What kind of strategy do we think they're trying to conjure up?
Goal hanging for a safety car is always nice. We kind of find ourselves in a similar position to where we were last week. Razin pulled a punch earlier, undercut Lonanova, caught Lonanova by the time that Lolly decided to react and boxed again. And it gave Razin so much flexibility with his strategy in the latter stages of this race. Remember, Lolly and Fabio still yet to stop. Do they jump into the pits? No, they do not. And that will give A, an opportunity for Razin to try and blast past, but B, maybe the chance for Tim at Marduk to just erode that gap a little bit more. 1.6 seconds. You can just see there in the top left-hand of screen the white bull heading down the main straight into La Source, as Fabio was a little bit wide of the apex, and I think that might leave him a bit vulnerable here to Razin.
Infratic on 20-lap old mediums, ladies and gentlemen. Same as Lolinova. They've been on those tyres from the start of this race. Razin's tyres 12 laps younger. So even through Eau Rouge and Radion, the difference is night and day. No matter the changing of the times, there's one thing that remains. Razin is on his way for the lead of the race.
Charging through, using that racing ball very nicely. And look at the speed he's got there through Malmedy. Lolly has to go defensive, but I would not be surprised if Razin just goes clean around the outside. And that is exactly what he does through Rivard. Passes the Ferrari like he's not even there. It's like an F1 car versus an F2 car. And that is the tyre offset that Razin Chai is running and romping out into the distance with. He is tracking very, very nicely. And now we've got to see, Lolly, Fabio, what do you got? How are you going to win this race from the position you find yourself with Tim McMardock hot on the heels of that ailing duo as well now?
A sequel to the double overtake very much awaits. Here's the Red Bull driver, who, something I want to highlight, talked about his own reputation when I was in Clipbook Corner as to why potentially Vince made the mistake. It definitely might have been a contributing factor. And I can't see him being incorrect on that front. If you're in that position, if you built that reputation of going for the aggressive moves, of not shirking away from any particular apex as Fabio decides, maybe I'm not willing to wait behind Lolinova anymore. I know Tiamat Marduk's behind me, and so I've surely got to try and make inroads as much as I can. It's not going to happen. Finally, they both peel into the pit lane, so no matter what the pressure applied was going to be, it would amount to nada. And what tyres do they dare to go on from this position?
It's got to be the hard tyres. Surely it's got to be the hard tyres. They can't be going for a two-stop from this position. I would suggest that is unwise, and yes, it is the white-walled hard compound tyres for both of them, the Ferrari and the McLaren respectively. They're going to filter out with a bit of overtaking to do, but they will definitely be going to the end of the race. Can the same be said about Kareem 17? He's got himself up into 4th place courtesy of the stops that other people have been making. Can he go to the end? 8 laps on his hard compound tyres. We know they're a step harder than the other compounds respectively. Can he try and extend this stint? We know he's an aggressive driver. He usually works the front tyres in particular a lot harder than some other drivers, so that might be his downfall in this attempt to try and extend this stint to the end of the race.
Quite possibly. I mean, at least his tyres will warm up quicker, I suppose, courtesy of his driving style. But Kareem 17, I'll just highlight at the moment, set his personal best lap of the race. On the previous lap, it was a 1:45.8. At least a couple of tenths quicker than Rasin Chai. Sizable amounts of tenths quicker than Tiamat Marduk or GB could do. So those hard tyres are coming into a realm of their own. The gap just dipping below 5 seconds as Lolin Ober now has his teammate right behind him. And Lolin Ober is going to be feeling the pain of that tyre warm-up. So what does he do in this situation with his teammate in hot pursuit?
Well, if we judge it off Kareem 17, it takes 8+ laps to get some proper energy into those hard compound tyres, to get them working to your desires. Got Fabio for company as well. Ricky 3 and Fabio, remember, in a very similar situation as is Lolin Ober, but Ricky's tyres 4 laps older than his teammate and the McLaren behind. Here is Tiamat Marduk, by the way, though, just cruised up once again to the back of Razin Chai. 2 former winners at this venue, and interesting stat, nobody in the Creator Series has won the Belgian Grand Prix twice. So this is an opportunity for both of these men, along with GB68 behind, to be the first double winner here at the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. Bit of a wobble for Razin coming out of La Source. The DRS will be opening as they go up through Rouge and Radian. I think Tiamat Marduk, when that flap opens, is going to be chomping at the bit to get himself back into the lead of the race. We saw it was a non-contest when Razin got past Lolin Ober. This is going to be easy as you like as well. Former 2-time champion finds himself atop the timing charts once again. Ben blasts his way into the lead of the race as we pass half distance.
Tantalising prospect on paper, and also even more so on the tarmac, ladies and gentlemen. We're over the fulcrum point of the Belgian Grand Prix. Tiamat Marduk, the race leader, Mango's on the radio saying, I have no idea what brake bias is or what it does. You know what? Fair enough, but at least you're still in this race after 23 laps. It is a marathon, not a sprint, particularly in a 100% race. No real surprise as to why. But you've just got to bide your time, play the patient game. And Tiamat Marduk and Razin are in a much, much more comfortable situation than they ever were at the beginning of this race. They have that superior compound compared to those hard tyre runners behind, at least at the moment. And they can work together now to just limit the damage before that second pit stop. What I will say is Razin made a mistake in the middle sector of that previous lap. That's what invited Tiamat Marduk just oh so close to an overtake.
Yeah, looking at it, lost a second and a half on the previous lap, and that was what gave Tim the freest of free opportunities to get the lead of the race back. But I think he's going to flip-flop in the next couple of laps. 19 of the 20 drivers have made stops. Adam Sanderson, the only driver still out there or in his starting tyres, 22 laps on his hard compound tyres. But as we do go past, as Carl said, the fulcrum point of the Belgian Grand Prix, I think we should hear what the lovely Kieran McGinley has to say about the action we've seen so far.
Oh, thank you very much, Tom. I don't know about lovely, though. Although, one word of advice to Mango about the brake bias: if there's a button that says magic, do not press it under any circumstances. Really big tip there. But it's been an interesting race, hasn't it? A tale of two strategies at the moment: mediums versus hards at this point in the race. And how about this for a battle then? As we see then Razin get the DRS and swoop his way back past Tim at Marlet. There's a bit of teamwork going on here, I think, to get themselves away from the likes of GB and Karim at this stage of the race. But we haven't had a safety car as of yet over the halfway mark, which is pretty surprising. But I'm sure all of those drivers will be ready, itching and waiting for some sort of race neutralisation, and how that would be just throwing the cat amongst the pigeons at this point in the race. What tyres would you put on? It's all a case of picking the right tyres at the right time. Top three on those medium tyres. You've got Karim there on the hard tyres, which is pretty interesting. And Adam Sanderson was saying in this race that those hard tyres were not working well. It's taken a couple of laps to fire up those tyres. The Ferrari drivers know that for sure, as Lolinova and Ricky currently still in 6th and 7th place. Ricky actually just about within DRS zone of Lolinova at this stage. But how about someone who has not stopped yet? We've mentioned him already. Adam Sanderson has not stopped yet in this race. He's begging for a safety car at this point. Absolutely on his knees at this point, waiting for some sort of race neutralisation. But it hasn't come yet. And beyond the halfway mark, you would have thought either the mediums will try and nurse him to the end if that were to happen. But he's just hanging on in there at the moment and in the points at this time. It's a happy hunting ground for GB as well. Obviously, he started from the back of the grid, has the fastest lap of the race so far, a 1 minute 45 flat, as he's put his 13th lap on those medium tyres. And a big shout out as well to Brandon Miles and Mango Slayer. They've been well and truly chucked into the deep end tonight. And although Brandon has said, wow, these guys are quick, well, Brandon, the only way to go is forward from this point, my friend. You will get quicker, and I can guarantee you are quicker than me. Scotty Designs and Sato here battling for that final point, as Chappers and Tukey also trying to battle away for position as well for the final points in Creator Series at the Belgian Grand Prix, as we head away down in towards the hairpin, the very first hairpin, down then onto the power, downhill as well, as there you can see it's just about Sato making his way on through into P14 in what is his 120th race here in the Creator Series. But watching on up and down the field, Adam Sanders has lost another position. But it's all fun and games at this point. Tukey's on the one of the freshest tyres as well, and 4-lap-old hard tyres. But at the moment, at this stage, it does seem Razin and Tia McMardock are working together at this point, sharing DRS and trying to break away from the likes of GB and Karim. And with that, Tom, it's back to you.
Thank you very much for that, Kieran. Look at this quartet getting stuck in on the exit of Malmedy and coming down through Rivage we go. Safso, 14th Season 1 champ. Ahead of Scotty Designs, ahead of Tukey, ahead of Chappers, battling away for 14th and 15th. If you're new to the Creator Series, down to 15 the point scorers, as that would have been ambitious, wouldn't it, from Chappers? Thinking about it, dangling those down the inside of Puon, but running a little bit wide on the exit. Now, Carl, Raz and Chai, going to be loving how things are going at the moment, leading the race, leading the championship, of course, after winning last week. But interesting stat, the winner of the Belgian Grand Prix has never gone on to win the subsequent championship. Meraki in Season 1, Tia McMardock in Season 2, Alex Gill in Season 3, Raz and Chai himself in Season 4, Tom 97 Season 7, GB68 Season 9, and Lolinova Season X. All of them won the Belgian Grand Prix. None of them won that season's championship.
Well, with a stat like that, Razin would just let Ben coast along the line in first. How about that? Keep the curse flowing, they say, on lap number 26, as Safso with a little bit of a lock-up. Nervous body language from the RB. And, you know, Scotty Designs will sniff a little bit of blood in the water, but he's got a very hungry Chrome McLaren who's showing the nose to the inside. Tukey trying to be brave on the brakes, but also has to throw an equally defensive shape towards Chappers as Lolinova gets past Grid Jokes. That's for P5 on the road, and we'll see what kind of pace he has on the hard compound tyres. Now only 4 laps old in this race. In terms of the pace otherwise, Kareem 70, last lap 45.9. He was 1.2 seconds faster than any of the 3 cars ahead of him. Tukey down the inside of Scotty Designs, brave on the brakes, little bit of a shove, sends Scotty Designs off the track. That might have been a touch rude.
expect to see that in the Creator Series recount. I think he's going to leak another place, as Chapper says, thank you very much. I'll lap that one up on a silver platter and pile even more misery onto Scott as he tried it around the outside to keep hold of 15th, but ended up dropping down to 17th. Now, like he said, Kareem 17, faster than the leading trio. Identical laps on the previous one for Raz and Chai and Tiamat Malik, 147, 195. How are they going to play this one? When do they pull the trigger? When do they bite the bullet to jump in for their second and what you would imagine will be final stops of the race? Kareem 17, the second stint, started slow. Those hard compound tyres at one stage was nearly 12 seconds off the back of Raz and Chai. That has almost been slashed in half, just 6.3 seconds, now covering the top four with Lolinova a further 8 seconds back. These guys are converging on each other as the medium's definitely starting to feel the full force of this Spa-Francorchamps circuit.
Yeah, Kareem 70 played the patient game, didn't quite work at the race start, but has bided his time, and it could pay off in spades. Tiamat Malik, though, again, digs in and finds his way back into P1 again, just working together to try and pull even more of a gap to make the two-stop as viable for them as possible. And we've got a very interesting race developing. If you're the likes of Kareem 17, Lolinova, Ricky 03 and Fratic and co on the hard compound tyres, you probably most definitely are going to the end. If you're the likes of Adam Sarnason, who's just peeled into the pits to make what will probably be his one and only stop, you've got Tiamat Malik and Razin also to make that one extra stop. Do they have enough of a surplus of pace in the tank? Or will the likes of Kareem 70 and Lolinova, who are now a second, if not seconds faster than the competition, just about hold their nerve?
Lolinova 2 seconds faster than Tiamat Malik, Razin Chai, GB68 on the previous lap. He was also a second faster than Kareem 70 as well, who is almost within the 1 second window of GB68. Like you said, playing a long game, this race is definitely starting to come back to him, but could he maybe be a bit cheeky later on? If Tiamat Malik, Razin and GB, maybe less so GB, because I think Kareem's going to get past him pretty quickly. If they extend the stints maybe, I think it's unlikely with the pace they've got, but if they do, could Kareem maybe be a bit cheeky? Got a couple of sets of medium tyres still in his back pocket. Does he maybe want to roll the dice and go with them?
Whether he went for harder or balanced allocation, I'll be honest, I have no idea, but he definitely has a set of mediums available to him, and that could pay off. Quite right, Tom. It could absolutely pay off. Lolinova was just had scorching pace on that previous lap. 45.1 on the previous lap. He's going to cross the line and on and do a 45.6, so only a few tenths of a second faster than Kareem 70. Still 7.5 seconds to try and make up, but after just 5 laps of pain and graft, those hard tyres are in a realm of their own.
I think he should be blasting past GB68 with helping Anna Diras. It's usually GB that captains the Aston Martin car, but he watches the flash of green go past him. Non-contest into the Les Combes chicane around the outside. Doesn't even need the braking zone, really, because that is easy as you like. Here comes a titanic duel. Infratic trying to pick up a couple of places. Disposed of Grid Jokes. Hangs the nose down the inside of Ricky into the Les Combes chicane, but there is big contact as Ricky falls off the circuit. Grid Jokes trying to come back through, wrestle the tide back and get 7th place back into his grasp. 6th place even, as he battles away with Infratic down the hill into Rivage. The McLaren has fresher tyres, got the outside line, will turn to the inside line of No Name. Bit of a wobble there for Grid Jokes, which means he has to concede defeat and wave the white flag. That got a little bit tussly there, bit tetchy between Infratic and Ricky.
I can only imagine the Italian words he's saying there, or I can't actually because I don't speak Italian, but what he'll probably be saying is, what was I supposed to do? Well, the carrot was dangled. Fabio put the nose down the inside to pose the question to Ricky. The answer was, well, I'll leave you just about enough space, but be respectful while you're at it. Unfortunately, it all came to a bit of a head. Fabio comes off worse with front wing damage. Realistically, in my opinion, I think just maybe had to be a little bit more committed. Regardless, back past Grid Jokes he goes, and that's one conundrum done. There's another conundrum that's waiting in the form of the damage. Lolinova's absolutely, well, he's put the afterburners on, quite frankly. Simply scorching pace from the Scuderia Ferrari. Across the line he goes for what I have no doubt will be yet another 145, and it is a 145.8. Hard tyre runners are in the hot seat right now.
Shows how important it was to get ahead of his teammate critically when he came out of the pits. He's got the same ace tyres as Fabio. They were joined at the hip for the first 20 laps of this race. Now 6 seconds between them. Obviously, that is helped a little bit by that contact on the previous lap, but that is not good news at all for Fabio, who hasn't really managed to keep tabs on the Italian stallion. He's gone galloping off into the distance. We were 3 wide on the previous lap. Could we be 4 wide? Probably not, because Vince is a bit too far back, but through goes Grid Jokes easy as you like. Ricky 03 says, I'll have a piece of that as well, and relegates Fabio down a further spot. And despite despite having the front wing damage, which is going to aid his straight line speed with a limited downforce. McLaren can do absolutely jot about that, and he's now got Dat Gavinsta for company, and those two have been entangled a couple of times so far this season, haven't they?
They have indeed. Last lap, almost, well, leading on to the last lap of the previous race. Well, it was that guy Vince who nerfed it into the back of Fabio. He'll be hoping not for a repeat of that particular eventuality. As our resident TK confirms, yes, light yellow front wing damage on the left-hand side for the McLaren Maestro. That will be music to the ears of that guy Vince, who is just going to up the tempo even more.
100%. Tim Mollick, still your race leader. 8/10 per second clear of Razin Chai, but once again, as we've said, Kareem 17 is motoring. Just 3.5 seconds now off the back of the Season 5 champion. 3 former champions filling the top 3 places with 2 of the perennial contenders to the throne in 4th and 5th. Got to shout out Gridjokes in 6th place as well. Got to penalty as GB does make his way into the pits at the start of lap number 30. So he's going to pull the undercut attempt. Dakovic's all over the back of Fabio. Thinks about it maybe into the bus stop, maybe just trying to spook Fabio into a bit of a mistake. Just lock a brake and send him off into the runoff area, but stays behind for the time being. We're going to see once again the power of the undercut. These medium tyres, they were good for all of about 10 laps, and while they were good, they were darn good. But when they started to fall away, you could really see the hard tyres, that extra step harder in compound, coming to the fruition.
Indeed we shall. GB, second and most definitely final pit stop of this race. Discounting safety cars, we know it can happen. Peels out just ahead of Concept 7 in the Williams car. We'll have a little bit of DRS. Adam Sanderson, he's woken up. Medium compound tyres and a 44.3. Absolutely obliterates what any other fastest lap the competition have put to the board by nearly 8/10 of a second. Still down in P15 at the moment, but while it was the pain and the shame on the hard compound tyres, it's going to be marvel on the mediums for the Red Bull.
They could have been back-to-back fastest laps, because for a decent portion of last week, he held the fastest lap of the race. Safso getting stuck in with Chappers. The Williams on the inside into the Les Combes chicane. They keep it clean, unlike Ricky and Fabio from a couple of laps ago. But it's the Season 1 champion that holds 13th place within his grasp. Adam Sanderson motoring on his medium tyres. Chappers, does he think about it down the inside? Just getting a foothold in this battle to try and move through. A little bit of a tail wag as we go down the hill through Rivage, and having to stay behind the RB for the time being. But he's going to be under the cosh massively with Adam Sanderson right there. Ryan Aledi also is motoring, looking pretty speedy on his medium tyres in the Alpine, with Scotty Designs for company as well.
I think we're going to see once again a visualisation of just the grip difference between those mediums and the hard compound tyres ahead. Only 3 laps old for the mediums that Adam Sanderson is running. We get the best seat in the house with Ryan L83, who has a figurative bucket of popcorn to watch Adam Sanderson carve through this traffic, leaves it in none through Stabilo 2. Ryan L83 senses a little opportunity to burn the battery as much as possible. Still, he'll continue to do it. Now turns it off to save it for the first part, the Kemmel Straight of the next lap. What does Adam Sanderson do, though? He knows he's got the tyres. He knows he's got the grip. So down the inside he goes. Of not 1, maybe 2, but overcooks it. Sends Chappers wide at the first part of the bus stop. That was almost complete overcookage from the Red Bull.
Bit of a day late and a dollar short there from Adam Sanderson. Came from his overdraft. He was so far back. He didn't quite get his braking right. I think it is fair to say on that one, but does get himself ahead of the Williams. And Ryan, who is also on brand new medium tyres, says thank you very much. That is a lovely freebie for me. I will not turn that one down. And with the helping hand of DRS, you would say this is going to be a pretty regulation move atop the hill for Adam Sanderson to move up into 13th place. The only little bit of contention is maybe if the overspeed that the Alpine gets, can he try and challenge Adam Sanderson? He was almost on the grass rise. He looked for space. Now it presents itself, and he flies past the Red Bull. Good move there from Ryan. Chance at maybe fighting for a top 10. If you consider how his Saudi Arabian Grand Prix went a week ago, lasted all but 4 corners, this is a much, much improved outing.
I think the stat we got given was he survived 0.23% of the race at Saudi Arabia. He survived a significant amount more than that, ladies and gentlemen. The Alpine driver redeeming himself royally, down in P13 at the moment. Has those new medium tyres, though. Next target up the road is Tukey. News, though, from the Clipbook corner. News from the pit wall from our resident broadcast team. Ben is in the mud. Absolutely in the mud. We can confirm his fuel situation is dire, and Kareem 70 is closing in. The top 2 are in a bit of a pickle.
Yeah, they've got to try and work together here. Ben, minus 1.16 as Gridjokes comes into the pits for the second time this season to get rid of his hard compound tyres. Really good stint that for Gridjokes. Was under the microscope early on, struggled a bit for pace, but got himself some great track condition, was able to hang with the likes of Riccio 3. that guy Vince and Emphatic who are on much fresher tyres. And here is GB, who's already made a second stop, flying on his medium tyres, trying to make the undercut work to get himself back in the game, really, with Tiernan and Rasenchai. Give himself a shot at maybe winning this race for the second time. But Kareem 17, like you said many a time, Carl, looking very, very good. Just 2 seconds off the lead now in third place. And his fuel situation considerably better than Tiernan Marlin. Ben minus 1.16, Razin minus 0.85, Kareem only down by 0.15.
I was wondering why the positions weren't swapping anymore between Ben and Razin. I was wondering why they weren't working together to use more pace. And, well, the answer, I think, is pretty clear. Razin's just stayed behind now to save his fuel as much as he could. It was much closer, the gap of fuel saving between the Red Bull and the RB driver. Now it's really expanded. Kareem 70's now within DRS. And suddenly, it just became even more of a cinematic spectacle.
What do you do here if you're Kareem? Do you go to the end? 18 laps, on his hard compound tyres. Another 12. He should manage to get those to the end of the race, although they will be significantly past their best by the time he gets to lap 44. 12 to go, 13 to go. Interesting little strategical tussle that's going to play out.
Absolutely. Very interesting strategical tussle. I could not agree more with you. We're 3/4 of the way through the Belgian Grand Prix. That is absolutely excellent. Alpine on the bottom right making moves. That's GB through Blanchimont, who's absolutely flying. On he goes through. Meanwhile, through La Source and through Eau Rouge go our top 3. Kareem 70 now within a second. I would not be surprised if he just saves his fuel and gets himself back into that comfortable window.
100%. Need to be really precise here and manage this race perfectly, because there is a lot at stake in the second half, in the closing stages, isn't there?
Absolutely. I could not agree more with you. And for now, at least, the top 3 remain line astern. However, let's not forget, let's not for a second think that this race is over and done with. There's still the question of safety cars. We cannot ignore that. Fabio and Ricky, they're fighting again, though, round the outside of the Laycom chicane. Meanwhile, Ben's garage is going. Ben box, pit confirmed. So this is it. The second and final stops. They're going to start raining in. One of which, though, we're on board with. That's GB, hounding the rear end of that McLaren. He's got 15 seconds, just over, maybe even 16 seconds, between himself and the lead hard tyre runner of Kareem 70. A move into Pouan, I hear you say. This is going to get dicey, Tom.
Oh, GB try and help himself here. Buffet driving. Ricky with absolutely nowhere to go to the outside. GB, I don't think he's going to be satisfied as he'll try and challenge Fabio into the Fanier chicane round the outside. Is there the space? Not quite. The McLaren keeps them at bay for the time being. But GB's so much quicker on these fresh tyres, isn't he?
He absolutely is. Very, very good stuff from GB. Up into P6 he goes. There could well be another move into the bus stop chicane. Make no mistake about that. GB pushing it to the absolute limit. He's going to burn the battery all the way through as we look to Kareem 70, because Rasenchai is into the pit lane.
He is. Gone for the early punch, so Kareem will be left to deal with Tim and Marcan in front. Just a second separated them as here we go into the bus stop. Inside becomes the outside for the final corner for GB as he tries to take what should become 4th place, maybe. We don't know how strong the undercut will be. Definitely 5th place, as Razin, you can see they're tumbling down. Going to be touch and go, actually. Where is GB? Where is Rasenchai? He comes out behind the Alpine, right into the path of his former teammate. He's behind the McLaren. GB at the moment is the net race leader, but with significantly older tyres. Indeed.
4 laps older than Rasenchai, who immediately disposes of the Papaya Pro. Says enough about that. I've got a score to settle. Gap between lead hard tyre runner and these two on their mediums. It is about 16 seconds. Make that 15.5 seconds. 16.5, excuse me, I can do maths, between themselves and Kareem 70. There is a lot of work to do in 10 laps. They've got to put the afterburners on and activate them paramountly quickly.
100%. And you can't be too lackadaisical here. You can't be too slow at reacting to what Razin's done. Remember last week, he was really on the ball with his strategy, really punchy, made the right calls at the right time, and that is what got him in the position to win that race. So Kareem 70 and Tim Martin, they've got to think on their feet here, because Razin playing with a full deck of cards. He holds the aces as things stand. We'll see how Ben reacts.
Let's try this again. Ben Box says Ben's garage. Will he ignore them for a second time? Reminds me of a certain Sebastian Vettel parody that's out there on the internet. Does Ben Box? Will it have to be the reverse psychology? The answer is indeed Ben is pitting at the end of this lap. The last of the 2 stoppers at the very forefront of the field. And well, grab your buckets of popcorn, ladies and gentlemen, because with 10 tours to go of the Belgian Grand Prix, Kareem 70 leads What a contrast in fortunes compared to last week. And we're in for an entertainment extravaganza.
We are indeedy with Kareem leading the way. Staying out, of course, will be Lolanover as well, who is taking chunks of time out of the Aston Martin. He's got much fresher tyres, it has to be said. Through goes GB, through goes Razin Chai. Tim Martin is going to be behind the pair of them, but crucially is ahead of Infratic as Dakovic also jumps into the pit lane for a fresh set of boots.
Well, this just got very interesting indeed. Razin on the fresh mediums. No real surprise about what's going to happen into Orsolay Chicane. He breezes on past in the RB car, the championship leader after round number 1. No real surprise as to why that is. Moves up to P3. 16.6 seconds is the gap. The chase is on.
Chase very much is on with less than 10 to go, but they need to think about the fuel situation as well. Ben, I think, is still significantly down, and he's not got the DRS advantage to drag him along with Razin and with GB in front. Is this race just starting to fall away from the Australian ace, with Razin leading the charge up to what we think are going to be the one-stoppers, Kareem 17 and Lolanover? We could have a scenario here where everybody converges on each other. Lolly is still a little bit quicker than Kareem 17, albeit not significantly at this stage, with Razin and GB, and probably Ben as well, charging up to the back of them.
This is what we were waiting for with these alternate strategies. Already though, Razin's getting to work. Ben goes into the gravel, perhaps just a little bit of desperation creeping in the body language of that Red Bull and in the driving of the man behind the wheel. But 4.5 seconds, now 4.7, the gap out in front. Immediately, Razin is eroding that gap. What was 16.7 seconds, turn that into almost 13 seconds. My goodness me, the pace of the new mediums is electric.
Needs to be more than a second a lap faster. He is comfortably more than a second a lap faster. 2.5 seconds the margin on the previous lap, as Razin Chai with a purple lap, maybe making Kareem and Lolly feel a bit purple with the pace that the RB has got behind, dragging GB, and crucially for Tim and Malik's chances, got himself at the moment within the 1 second window. Can he just cling onto the coattails up Darusian Radion? Will he get the DRS down the Camel straight? He's managed to, like you say, erode the gap, but he does crucially have the rear wing flap open. Can he keep tabs on them though? Can he keep them at arm's length?
Fuel situation is a bit of an interesting one as well. Kareem's on minus 0.1. GB also on minus 0.1. By far the best out of the leading bunch that have to save fuel. Lolly's on minus 0.63. Razin, minus 0.41. Ben, still almost a lap under target in this race. They've got some serious fuel-saving work to do. But if the mediums have that much surplus, they just breeze up to the back, make the overtakes happen, then save all the fuel they need. However, the question is as well, how quickly are they going to save? Are they going to make it?
100%. Hope you're enjoying this, everybody. We're in for a grandstand finish here at Spa with just 9 laps of the Belgian Grand Prix to go. Any one of 5 drivers realistically could still win this race. And Carl, there's another conundrum for Tim at Marder to consider. What if GB can't keep up with Razin Chai? In an ideal world, Ben would sit behind these 2 drivers, save a boatload of fuel for the next 5 or 6 laps, get himself back into a semi-decent position, and then go balls to the walls in the final 3 or 4 laps. If GB can't keep up with Razin, which isn't an impossibility considering Razin has 4 lap fresher tyres, what does he do in that scenario?
Well, Ben has fresher mediums by 5 laps compared to GB, which will obviously give him the advantage as they head through into lap number 37. The time is ticking away. 4.5 seconds the gap out in front. Kareem 17 in the hot seat for victory tonight. But the medium's pace is imperious. If Ben gets past GB, that's query number 1. He can then save the fuel behind Razin. Do what had happened to him at the end of the second stint? That's the question. We'll have the answers in a moment. Query 1, though, is not met in the context of this programme. Tim Etmano with absolutely no battery, but you can hear just how long the lift and coast is into the Lake Chicane. As Razin says, it's not looking good, Brev.
It is not. 10 seconds the gap. GB a little bit wide there coming out of Malmedy. Tim maybe with an opportunity if he was on the button. As GB again wide there through Rivage, just struggling a little bit. Clumsy couple of corners which will put the former 2-time champ right underneath the rear wing of the Alpine cut and also push GB crucially outside of 1 second from Razin in front. Lolanover continues to take time out of Kareem 17, although on the previous lap was half a tenth slower than the Aston Martin out in front, despite having the 8-lap fresher hard compound tyres. Then you've got this charging trio, GB with Tim and Malik very much for company. 1.1 seconds the gap to Razin Chai. Ben slightly wide there to Stavalo.
Slightly wide indeed. He's got GB, though, who's outside of a second, it could well be a pick-your-pocket opportunity, unless GB is just going to burn the battery again and remain in DRS of Razin. And that's going to be even more frustration that will boil to the brim for the Australian sensation. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have two things. Number one, tyre talk, and number two, fuel talk until the end. We are sorry, but also not sorry, because in the context of this race, there are a multitude of drivers that might not even make the end. And it could just open the door for somebody who has been a little bit more leisurely in terms of the way they've made the car, in terms of making it a bit more cumbersome in the early phase of the race. But they have the confidence, they have the knowledge that they are going to make it. Here's Tim at Marduk, though. It would have happened eventually, but there's the right, there's the left, and now the press of the button, the DRS, maximum flappage down the Kemmel Straight. That's P4, and now if he can just hoist himself to the back of Razin, the fuel saving can really, truly begin.
And you were talking about cumbersome. For GB there, he had to really hustle the car. A couple of stabs to get it rotated through La Source. Looked a little bit recalcitrant, did the Alpine, as Gridjokes gets the better of Concept 7. And he's almost reacquainted once again with Riccio 3 and Infratic. Just 6 laps on his medium tyres. And Gridjokes has taken about 10 seconds out of Ricky and out of Fabio. He's going to be right on their tail and not too far into the future. Motoring is the Sauber driver. Maybe underperformed a little bit in Saudi Arabia, but doing a sterling job here and could be looking at a very decent 6th place finish.
Yeah, credit where credit is due. Under the radar, Gridjokes, but very much now on our radar with a superb performance despite all of the chaos that has happened. Apparently Ben's stream has died, so it wouldn't be a Creator Series forecast without some technical gremlins hitting one of our drivers. It was Safso with the customary disconnect in qualifying. Ben's stream has now died, but he's got more things to worry about than just internet and Twitch issues. And that is the twitchiness he'll be feeling about the fuel, because he's still 0.8 down. He now has to save over 0.15 laps of fuel per lap to have any chance of finishing this race.
These two stoppers have got a hell of a lot of work to do, haven't they? 8 seconds the margin between Cream 17 and Lolanoba with 6 laps to go. On the last lap, Razin Chai a second quicker than Cream 17, a second and a half quicker than Lolanoba. So the Italian stallion maybe just hitting a bit of a brick wall here as he starts to leak time compared to the Aston Martin in front. Something we should be slightly aware of is that Kareem 70 is on 2 warnings at this stage. None for Lolly, 1 for Razin, 1 for Ben, 2 for GB as well. So just keep your eyes peeled on that one. We're hearing from TK, remember Ted Kravitz, the initials, that Kareem's plan is just to keep pushing because he knows he's got the fuel advantage. He will run out after everybody else, so he can afford to take a few more liberties with his fuel saving.
Let's have a look at the lap time still. Like you say, still 1 second quicker are those medium runners at least than Kareem 70 out in front. But if they're only 1 second a lap quicker, it's not going to be enough to actually catch and potentially overtake. They have got Lolanoba to deal with now. But just to highlight our race leader's performance quickly, I mean, take a bow, Kareem 70, quite frankly. Yes, he's on 2 warnings. Yes, it is far from over. But despite having 8-lap older hard compound tyres than Lolanoba, he should be falling by the wayside in terms of his overall pace. He is still multiple tenths a lap faster. He's still holding firm, still holding the advantage. And while it was a slump in Saudi Arabia, it's a barnstormer in Belgium, a beautiful drive. And with just 5 tours to go, he could be having a race win already in Season 12.
Great recovery, isn't it? From Kareem 70, found the right formula after a bit of a disappointing one in Saudi Arabia last week. Only made it to a quarter race distance, chipped off his front left tyre with a bit of a miscalculation heading into turn 4. As we return to lap 40, 4.3 seconds the gap between the Aston Martin of Kareem and the Ferrari of Lolanoba, who is getting hounded by Razin, by Ben and by GB. Ben's fuel situation is still unideal, I think is the best way to describe it. Needs to save around 0.18 laps of fuel per lap if he's to make it to the end of the race. I think a few drivers have been caught short by the fact that we haven't had the safety car make a visit.
Well, let's remember the consideration here. That's exactly the nail on the head that you've hit. The safety car didn't arrive. That's why the drivers have this problem here. We have the stats, ladies and gentlemen. Ben needs to save 0.18 laps of fuel per lap to even consider making it to the end of this race. Kareem still at minus 0.1. Lolly minus 0.42. He's going to have to do more work. Razin on minus 0.21. More work to do there as well. GB is in the best position out of the top 5 in terms of fuel. Ben, no real surprise, minus 0.77. It's not looking good as Concept 7 going through the right-hander We're highlighting for a moment, unless he's got some kind of problem and was going quite gingerly, but Concept 7 is absolutely fine. He carries on. While I'm here, can't really believe I'm saying this, and I'm not going to tempt fate just yet, but 40 laps of the way in, we still have all 20 drivers. We haven't had a single safety car. As Ben says, quite rightly, I am not saving enough fuel.
Could this be a record? Could this be the first time all 20 drivers make it to the end and we don't see Bernd Mailander? Get your Creator Series facts out there. We need to do a fact check there. Lotanoba, though, the hunted has been hunted as Razin and Tim Malik arrive on the scene through the bus stop chicane. 4 laps left, and they are 5 seconds, the two stoppers, away from Cream 17. Ben, the alarm bell's definitely starting to ring. He knows he is not saving enough fuel, and maybe we'll just have to give up on this assault and leave Kareem and Razin to dice it out for the race victory. And the Ferrari, I think, might be a bit of a sitting duck here as we go up towards Eau Rouge and Radion. Ben still so close, examining the rear geometry of the Racing Bulls car. Up through Eau Rouge and Radion we go. What order are we going to be in? By the time we get to the braking zone of the Lake Combe chicane, Lotanoba all the way over to the right-hand side. You will not pass me on the inside, he says, but it's going to be the long way round for Razin. Does he have the straight line speed? No. Does he have the grip from those medium tyres? Absolutely yes, but give him the cold shoulder there by the Scarlet Ferrari car. Excellent defensive work. Round number 1 goes to Lotanoba. Round 2, though, as he's wide, coming out of Malmedy, goes the way of the Season 5 champion. Down the inside into Rivage. Second place goes the way of Razin Chai. Ben, will he get squeezed out around the outside? A no-name corner? Yes, into the gravel, into the grass. Bit of debris flies up as well, and a little bit of a jink over to the side also to boot. Now to the outside of Pouon. Does the Ferrari again give him the space? Ben off the road for the second time in as many corners. It's got to be the inside of the Fagnes chicane. This time he should get the job done, and does. Lotanoba putting up a fight, got a little bit aggressive there, a bit of argy-bargies going on, and maybe some afters as well.
Frustration boiling over quite possibly for Tiamat Marduk as they headed in towards Pouon corner. That was very aggressive. Staff battles behind. Safso's made his way past Chappers for P15. Razin's just got another warning. Ladies and gentlemen, in fact, make that his second warning of the race. So it's even Stevens in terms of the track limits between our top two. 4.5 seconds the gap now in this Grand Prix. Kareem 70 now under 0.1 laps of fuel to go. Just needs to save a little bit more. Razin, though, is on equally level pegging with those medium tyres, with the surplus of grip he's had. Doesn't need to lift off. Well, can lift off nearly as much, excuse me, because the grip will do the rest of the work for him.
This is going to be close. 8/10 on the previous lap. That's not enough for Razin Chai. 4 seconds with 3 laps to go. Needs to be 1.3 seconds a lap faster, and that will give him an opportunity to pass him into the bus stop chicane at the end of lap 44. Is this starting to swing the way of Aston Martin and Kareem 70? Ben still very much with major fuel issues. Might have to consign himself to 5th place if he ends up crawling over the line come the end of lap 44. GB still in this fight, but does have older tyres, 4 laps older than Razin, 5 laps older than Tiamat Marduk, in Fratsk and Riccio 3, joined at the hip for the entirety of the Belgian Grand Prix, debating 6th and 7th once again with grid jokes, very much for company on his much fresher soft tyres.
It's going to be such an interesting end to this race. Who's actually going to save the fuel? Who's going to run out? Just so close to the finish line here at Belgium. 44 laps, all 20 drivers might well still be in this race and will end this race, completing the race, which is unbelievable. The safety car now cannot emerge, but for what I think might be the first time in God knows how long, maybe even ever, in the Creator Series in a single race. That's just how crazy this has been, but it's opened up such a superlative strategy war with just now 2 tours to go. The gap is 3 seconds. The fuel situation is dire. Tom, we are in for a firecracker.
We are indeed. He's caught him on this lap. Gap dipping under 3 seconds with 2 laps to go. Razin just needs a little bit more, eking as much performance out of himself and out of his Racing Bulls car as he possibly can. Going to be taking liberties at this point. Do you take the 2nd place or do you push for that win? You can see the carrot being dangled of the Aston Martin in the distance. Tiamat Marduk is continuing to rollick along behind, pushing the RB hammer and tong with GB just in the background, also still keeping both of them very honest and ready to pick up a podium if indeed what we expect happens and Tiamat Marduk runs out of fuel somewhere around the last lap of this race.
I've also got to say, credit to Razin Chai. He's done extremely well with the lift and coast as Kieran McGinley and TK have been hard at work studying every single fuel trace of every single one of these drivers. Razin nearly back equal in terms of fuel, however does have apparently no ERS. Kareem minus 0.04 in terms of fuel. Even Stevens in terms of the fuel situation, but Razin is going to push as much as he can to be in DRS range, to pile on the pressure on Kareem 7T. If he has the knowledge, everyone's an engineer in the Creator Series, for every single chat. If he knows that Kareem 7T's fuel situation is similar to his, if he just gets to track position, it could be 2 from 2.
Well, look at this. Scotty Designs, by the way, has picked up the fastest lap of the race. I don't think that's going to be eclipsed either. He's down in 19th. But that is a lovely bit of a fastest lap to put in his back pocket. 1.2 seconds. Everybody call Bradley Walsh because the chase is on here for the last lap. The gap is going to be under 1 second. Kareem just a little bit dicey with fuel. Tyres also going off. There's been a long old slog on this final set of tyres. 31 laps will be the magic number to get him from when he got rid of the soft tyres to the end of this race. 1.4 seconds, burning some battery down the straight in the run into the bus stop chicane, and it is 1.2 seconds at the start of the last lap.
Entertainment extravaganza here at Spa-Francorchamps. A race of many firsts. But here on the last lap, could it be a first win of the season for Kareem 7T? Could it be a second win in 2 for Rasin Chai in season number 12? Hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen. We have just under those 7 kilometres to decide the race winner here at Spa. GB all over the back of Tiamat Marduk, who's trying to save all the way through. He's still 0.45 down. It's an easy move for GB into Lecom. Through goes the Alpine driver. Rasin within a second of Kareem 7T. Both relatively equal on fuel. Goodness me, Tom. I hope you're not biting your fingernails off just yet. This is going to be tantalisingly close.
Well, within half a second now, look at this, and Kareem 17 might be thinking the worst could be happening. A last lap pass for Rasin Chai. Had so much more speed on the run down into Poo, and you saw Tim Barnett there as well. Still just under half a lap down on fuel, but he lifted so early into the Lecom chicane. Lolonova's going to be fancying his chances of getting back up into P4. And I think, Ben, we're hearing from TK himself, is now out of fuel and running on Top Gear fumes from a challenge from a few years ago. But out of Coldpool Fair we go for the final time. A third of a second the gap. Season 5 champion chasing down the Season 9 champion. Will it be a first win of the season for Kareem? Will it be Rasin Chai going double trouble in Saudi Arabia and in Spa? Ben desperately clinging on to 4th place as well. I don't think Rasin's got the straight line speed. Kareem has it covered into the braking zone. Hold the inside for the final corner, and he just have to pull gears up to the line. He's found the fuel formula just, and by half a second as Rasin actually runs out over the line. Kareem 7T, your victor in Spa. Rasin from GB. Ben just holds on because Lolly also has run out of fuel at the last lap. Infratic will just come home in P6. I think he was very deep there into the bus stop as Grid Jokes and Dak Gavin's getting stuck in with Ricky, who's defenseless, but he does keep hold of 7th. Penalty for Grid Jokes, drops him behind Vince. But Kareem 7T, at one stage he was looking second favourite behind Rasin, but didn't quite, the RB driver, have enough to go back to back.
Well. The first race, it was a slobber knocker, but a slump for Kareem 7T. At a street circuit, parallels to last season in so many ways. Equal cars are back on. He only needed 1 race to dust off the cobwebs. Race number 2, he's a race winner again in the Creator Series. But will that curse come to haunt him? The winner of the Belgian Grand Prix has never gone on to win the championship. But if that's the pace he has after only 2 seasons of learning no racing line, what could be?
What could be indeed. Concept 7 has left the session. I can't quite remember what position he was in when he crossed the line. I believe he did score points. I think he was around about P10. So just keep an eye on that one. We'll have to shuffle everybody up from a certain spot. But what a race that was. No safety car, real strategic battle, a real fuel-saving battle as well. We thought it would just be Ben running out on the last lap. As it turned out, Lolly pushed it too much. Rasin pushed it a little bit too much as well. Didn't quite have enough in the tank to steal the victory into the final braking zone, to nab it away from Kareem 17. After the disaster class of Saudi Arabia, well, it's been pinpoint perfection here in Spa-Francorchamps. Takes the victory and kickstarts his season after the blow of Saudi Arabia.
We had to highlight it, didn't we? We just had to highlight it, even despite the beginning of the race, where it could have all gone so wrong so quickly. Played the patient game, trusted in the one stop, trusted he had the fuel to compete, and in the end he had all of those things. What an end to Spa-Francorchamps as we have Gong racing. But in other news, cleanest driver is Lolin Ober. He takes home an extra point for that Cleanest Driver award. So congratulations to him. Fastest lap goes to Scotty Designs. Absolute legend. Kareem 70, though, wins his first race of season number 12. It's 2 different winners from 2, as Razin Chai has to settle for P2. GB in P3 with Tiamat Marduk, Lolinoba, Infratic, Ricky 03, That Guy Vince Grid Jokes, and Rhino 83 rounding out the top 10, but it was actually Concept 7. So, Rhino 83 was P11 with Matt 212, Adam Sarnason, Tukey, Chappers, Safso, Super Noodle Bagel, Mango, Scotty Designs, by the way, and Brandon Miles rounding out our order. Every single driver finished. What a time it's been.
What a time it's been. All drivers finishing a race, TK. What's going on here? I mean, that just shows you everyone managed to keep it on the tarmac. None of this shenanigans with strategy, and that just caused everyone to panic about the fuel with about 6 to 7 or 8 laps to go. I love it when the drivers panic about fuel.
I really do as well. It was one of those very rare and unique races that actually they weren't having their races saved by Bert Mylander in the safety car. They were going to have to think about it, and the drivers that actually made it to the end are the ones that had that planning to be able to go, you know what, I need to back off and sacrifice a little bit of straight line speed here.
Yeah, and one of the places, you know, you underfuel at Spa-Francorchamps and you spend quite a lot of time full throttle. It's a bold strategy. It really relies on a safety car. That's not what came. Burns stayed very much in the virtual pit lane. But TK, you've got a few clips for us on what was a hectic end to that race. Over to you.
That I certainly do. I want to cast your minds back first and foremost, folks, to lap number 28. If you can remember that contact between Ricky and Fabio as they headed in towards Lacombe. Look at this. Ricky tries to turn in. He does not have the red arrows at the time he turns in. They appear right at the millimetric, the last moment of asking. We can go back and have a look at that just in slow motion. I know this is a Carl Paranek favourite, but we all go back in half-time speed. And as he turns in, they're literally almost as the contact happens is when that motion happens, when those white arrows turn to red. And unfortunately, it wasn't quite the way that he'd like to see that race go. We'll watch it from Fabio's point of view as well, because as many of you will probably say, he thought he probably deserved the right to be there. We'll watch this first and foremost in one-time speed, and then we can go back later as well, just to have a very similar look. It looks like he might just have the closest to margins, just enough to maybe stick a nose down the inside. Does he actually? Again, I'll leave that up to the folks at home. We'll go even slow. We'll go a quarter time speed, everybody, just to really get an insight on what quite happened. And you can see there, just as he tries to send it down the inside, maybe he wasn't entitled to that much room. It's not necessarily the way he wanted to try and go about it. But alas, again, we'll leave that up to the folks at home. Let us know in the live chat and see how that goes. And just the end here, because this, I don't want to rain on Lolly's unfortunate day as it is already. One of the 2 drivers that we notably noticed ran out of fuel at the end. But just keep an eye on the fuel down here in the bottom right, roughly where it gets to. He's on about minus 0.2 of a lap, and here he goes into low fuel mode right as he comes alongside Ben. And Ben, if you hadn't noticed, has gone into AI mode. Now AI, for some reason, has allowed him to keep going at a greater speed compared to Lolly, who is full throttle in fuel saving mode. You can see Ben just fly off into the distance whilst Lolly's limited in terms of fuel mode. Fantastic from Ben. Lolly Nova, I feel, has had a position stolen right at the death by the Rebel racing car there.
Unbelievable. I mean, that's just thinking like that in the heat of the battle. For Ben to go, yeah, I'm going to pause mode because I have more pace with no fuel in the car. Work that out, mathematicians. Work it out and get back to us with an answer. I don't know either, but heck of a race. I mean, what looked like, you know, Razin and Ben working together. You know, we saw them midway through the race with that DRS. Then, as our commentary team pointed out, the overtaking stopped. And that was when Razin really tried to save the fuel and make sure he, well, first and foremost, got to the end of the race with some fuel in the tank. We are joined, though, by GB. We spoke to him at the start of the race. We're joining him with a podium, another one to his name. Correct me if I'm wrong, GB. That's podium number 37 for you in the Creator Series. A very happy return to the podium for you.
Yeah, really happy with the race. I mean, I told you beforehand the top 5 would be a great result, particularly start from the back. So, yeah, absolutely buzzing with it. It was really, I was just saying, I'm actually really glad this race didn't have a safety car or anything at the end. Understanding it would have benefited some drivers further back, but the way it played out, the fact that Karim won the race on those hard tyres, obviously fuel decided that race ultimately, so it was just an awesome fight and situation to be in. I was on the final lap. I don't know about you guys and the viewers, but I was literally like, is Razin going to win this race? I don't know what's going to happen here. And obviously Ben ran out of fuel, and yeah, it was absolute chaos. So it was a really fun race to be a part of.
I mean, yeah, TK and I were just watching every single stream. What are the fuels like? You know, everybody and their engineers in the chats were just sort of feeding that information. I mean, what's that like in the heat of the moment when you're trying to focus on your race and you're getting all this information? Ben's out of fuel. Razin's running low on fuel. You know, keeping your cool there must be a bit of a challenge.
I think it's all right, actually, because in my situation too, I was bad on fuel. I started the race break even on fuel, and Spa does burn fuel. So I did have to do a bit of Lyco as well. And because a lot of us were managing the pace, it wasn't really until the final lap, I think, that we were actually pushing. And even then, I think it was probably only me and Karim that were pushing, because Razin ran out and Ben ran out. So you're kind of in a situation where you're just driving, like, let's say, a second off the pace. And all of a sudden, you're kind of just almost not even focusing on the driving. You look at what chat's saying, or what, I was constantly asking for updates on fuel. I heard Lolly ran out of fuel as well at the end, apparently. This is absolute, it's crazy. But I don't know, it's kind of actually a bit more relaxed. You're quite right. You should kind of be quite nervous and be like, what's going on? But because we're all driving so much slower, it actually turns into a game of chess almost.
A game of chess around Spa, averaging, 150, 160 miles an hour? I mean, as well as that, it's a bold strategy as well to go for the fuel saving, gamble on the safety car at a track that's a power circuit, essentially. But you managed to really finesse it to a T.
Yeah, I don't think my pace was that great today, which I knew. No surprises, but I think that what got me at the front was the decision to box on, I think it was lap 11. I think I went earlier than most, because I realized the train ahead were going a little bit slow, and if I get onto fresh mediums, that's gonna completely transform my race. Luckily, there was no safety car at that point, because that obviously would have been bad. But yeah, in the end, it proved to be a decision on strategy that got me at the front at the end. I think without that, it would have been probably something similar to Karim, except I'd have had to lift and coast more than Karim. So yeah. I don't think I'm trying to think of strategy, whether I could have boxed any earlier or later or anything like that. I think honestly it's pretty nailed today, pretty good.
Well, thank goodness your cat didn't get in there. 5 laps to go. That could have been a very more interesting scenario for you.
She's always waiting. As soon as I finish the race, she's ready to just jump straight on me.
Well, we'll leave you to celebrate, GB. Congratulations on the podium today. Well earned, and go and have a well-earned break.
I'll have a refreshing drink after that, I think. Cheers, guys.
A zesty drink, I hope. Thank you, GB, and congratulations there to another podium, another one on the board for GB. And we'll drag in Razin into the box then for his interview. Obviously finishing second in that race. Razin, congratulations. That's podium 29 for you, but so close to another win in Creator Series. I mean, that was a hectic last 10 laps when the penny dropped that maybe a safety car was never coming.
Yeah, we were hoping on for a dream. I think I knew I had pace on the fresh mediums. The main concern was the fuel, and we were so far down on that middle stint where me and Ben were just together. We were both trying to fuel save as much as we could, but yeah, at one point you have to box. And the last 2 laps, I said, okay, we'll just send it. We're like 0.07 still under at this point. Try to get Karim's DRS. Maybe we can do something, but missed out on his DRS and just missed out end. But yeah, one more lap of fuel saving probably could have allowed me to challenge for that win at end. But hey, fair play to Karim doing a one-stop and it completely paying off. Congrats.
There was one lap, I think it was penultimate, maybe third to last lap, where you just pulled a lap that saved about a quarter of a lap of fuel just in one fell swoop, or over the last couple of laps. So you're doing really well at that Lyco. But I mean, it was just a case of how many times do we have in Creator Series that there's no safety car? Everyone's banking on that safety car to actually emerge and help you out on the fuel, and it never came. But I mean, you handled that really, really well. You had a great battle with Ben as well. Was there an element, halfway through the race, you're working together with him, with the likes of Lolinova behind?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the point where me and Ben were leading, I think that's when we were kind of working together. Just because we were both down on fuel, he was down even more than me. So it was a matter of someone just leading and then, lifting and coasting behind and then kind of showing a duty. So that kind of helped a bit, but I wish I started a bit more earlier. I didn't start aggressive enough earlier, which probably cost me a run at the end. But yeah, I mean, that was the only chance we had. you know, at that point it starts settling in. It might not be a safety car. We just needed a VSC alone. You know, VSC could help you out tons, but yeah, nothing came unfortunately. But hey, this is it's not a usual racing crate series. You know, we have different things happening. I mean, the whole grid finished today. I don't know how many times that's ever happened. So congrats to everybody on the grid.
Very few times. We're going to have to go back through the archives and find when that last happened. But looking at the past is for some other time. Looking into the future, I mean, you've had a first and a second at these first two races. Hungary next time around. How are you feeling towards Hungary?
Well, we'll have to see about Hungary. I mean, it's a very tough track to overtake at. It's notoriously known you have to qualify well, get the strategy well as well. So I'm not entirely sure if also I'm racing. I'll have to see. But if I am, yeah, qualifying is going to be important, I guess. But at the same time, I don't really just want it to be a boring race, so I kind of want to have fun with it. So let's see, we'll do something different.
It's a hard one to overtake at Hungary. It's Monaco without the barriers. I think that's a fair assessment, isn't it, Razin?
Yeah, very much.
Well, look, congratulations on the podium today. That's a win and a second place in the opening two races. You're in good form now, Razin. Don't let me curse you, though.
All right, thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Razin. Congratulations. Razin there, second place in that race. And I assume we're going to have Karim make his way into the box then for an interview. Razin's second place, but Karim takes the spoils with a win today. Well done on the win. I mean, that was more about making sure you had the right fuel at the right time. They talk about right tyres at the right time, but for you, it was a case of making sure there was enough fuel in the tank. That's win number 12 for you, I believe, Karim. How are you feeling after that?
I'm pumped, man. That was probably one of the most exciting finishes I've had. I'm happy we got to see the strategy play out. And yeah, I guess I almost nailed the fuel. I guess I did nail it because I won the race. But if I went a little bit over, because I think I started with 0.4 over. If I did a little bit more, I wouldn't have had to save at all. But I think I did pretty well considering I didn't have DRS for most of that race. But yeah, the tire strategy, these race wins are probably some of the best. Not only with good fuel strategy and strategy overall, but when you do the opposite strategy to 90% of the guys you're fighting, it feels good for it to play out because you know you cooked, you know.
I mean, those soft tyres must have been absolutely in agony. 13 laps on them you managed, and then put on the hard tyres for 31. Managed to just nurse them to the end. Yeah, heck of a strategy. When the other three drivers behind you went for two-stop, went for more aggressive, soft, medium. And as you say, yeah, tyres were a big factor in this. Fuel was a massive factor. How do you keep yourself cool in that scenario? Although I suppose it might help you a little bit easier to hear other drivers are struggling with fuel much more than you were.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough because on lap 1, I was like, you know what, let's just go for it. Let's put on some entertainment for the start of the race. Let's battle with Razin. I know I can have good battles with him. We're on the same tyres. Let's just go for it. And we did that for lap 1, but then it completely bit me in the back because I ended up losing, 4 or 5 positions on the main straight, and I never got them back, even though 2 of the people who overtook me were on mediums. So that kind of cooked my race a bit because then when I pitted off the soft tyres, which was screaming, by the way, I had Ricky and Fabio biting at my heels. When I pitted off them, Ben and Razin, who were on the same strategy as me at that point on the soft tyres, they came out like 5, 6, 7 seconds ahead of me, so that was pretty tough. And obviously they pitted to mediums, I pitted to hard, so I couldn't really catch them. Obviously it came good in the end. I had fresh mediums ready in case I needed them. But yeah, that middle stint, I was thinking, yeah, maybe I can get P3. I'm not sure about the win because Ben and Razin were DRS swapping. But then when I finally caught up to them, my chat told me, oh, Ben's low on fuel, Razin's low on fuel, GB's low on fuel. So I kind of played that to my advantage. Like I said, I still had to save a little bit, but that gave me confidence. And then by the final lap, you know, the nerves start to kick in, keep Razin behind and just send it for the flag.
Oh, I love it. I mean, you're off the mark for the season, Karim. You're now the lead Aston Martin point scorer, taking over from Scotty Designs, by the way. But to get off the mark with a win after that non-finish last time out, Hungary next. Can you take this race win and make it a good run of form for this season?
I hope so. I think if you forget last season, I think the season before I did a pretty similar thing when my trusty wheelbase died. So I scored no points in race 1, but then I got a string of podiums, which was nice. And I haven't really done that since. So if I can start again like that, a little bit more comfortable, then I should be feeling good. Obviously, I lost a lot of points round 1, but we all know round 1 doesn't count anyway. Round 1 is the practice round. So yeah, I'll hope to build some consistency for the next few races and see what happens.
I was going to say, Karim, you might say that it's a practice round. I have a score sheet that says otherwise, but that's just semantics anyway. How's it looking for Hungary next week then? Monaco without the barriers. Razin's hoping just have a good time, qualify high up the grid. Is the feeling neutral?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we qualified 1-2 today. Maybe it'll be similar in Hungary. We'll have to see. I'm feeling pretty good at that track. From the one qualifying session we've done on this game there. So it's good to race there, even though it might be hard to overtake. But as always, I'm sure we can put on a show, especially me and Razin. We know we can battle, keep it clean on the limit, and we'll see what Hungary holds for us.
Brilliant stuff. Karim, thank you so much for the chat. Congratulations on victory number 12 in the Creator Series and the first of the season. Congratulations.
Thanks, guys. See you next week.
Thank you, Karim. See you next week. I like that. A confident man. Now, Gareth, whilst he's being attacked by a cat, did say that Ben could be making his way into the commentary box, and he is indeed. Ben, I mean, we all know you love an underfuel around a power circuit, but that safety car, Virtual Bernd Meyerlander, he never came.
Yeah, what are the chances of that, hey? Just about every race in Creator Series we ever have, a safety car kind of saves the people who are doing a one-stop and running long into that last stint. That was me and Razin today. I'm very rarely in the lead of the race, let alone in that lead fight or whatever. It never came. It was so frustrating. Yeah, it was still a good race. We had some good battles with Karim, with Lolly, with Razin, of course. Me and Razin were working together for a bit of that race. Similar tires, similar fuel, and ultimately I think we waited a bit too long for a safety car that never came, and that kind of ruined us a bit for race time.
I was going to say, at what point in the race did you realise you're cooked at that point?
Probably just after I made the last pit stop around lap 34, 35-ish.
I think quite a lot to do on that.
Yeah, it was the point where there was no intentional safety cars allowed, and so I kind of realized we had to do the work ourselves. And I kept getting undercut by Razin, and so I'd have to push hard for longer and not save fuel to get back in DRS to then save fuel again. So it was again, and like round 1, it was a bit of a race that was a bit not optimal. We definitely could have got a better result, but I had a good time nonetheless.
Well, not optimal, but I think that's back-to-back 4th places for you, Ben. Is that podium waiting for you, the first one of the season, next time at Hungary?
Yeah, I've no doubt that if we get do a decent race, don't do anything silly, then the podium is there. Qualifying is going to be everything, to be honest. It's going to be very hard to overtake. So I can't remember the last time we've raced at Hungary, so could be anyone's track.
I think it's everyone's favourite track, though, Ben. I'm sure of it is Hungary.
I think we probably had one of the most depressing Creator Series races ever. I don't know if it was the last time we raced there, but it was one of the more recent ones where everyone was really low on fuel. So let's see if history repeats.
We shall wait and see. All to come. But thank you, Ben, so much for the catch. Congratulations on P4 anyway, and I'm sure we'll see you next time.
Cheers, guys. See you next week.
Thank you very much, Ben. And with that, then, Gareth, have we got anybody else we're chatting to? We're going to go to the driver's standing. So let's bring it up. After 2 rounds worth of racing, it is Razin at the top of the order. 45 points for Razin Chai Racing Balls at the top of the order. It's Lolinoba in 2nd place on 37 points. Then Tiamat Marduk with back-to-back 4th places rounds off the top 3 in the championship. Then it's Ricky 03 in 4th place. Infratic in 5th place. He had a good start, opening start to that race. Managed to get as high as 5th place from 12th on the grid. Karim there in 6th place. He's off the mark for the season with a race win under his belt. well. Concept 7 in 7th place there, with GB in 8th, his first points of the season, of course, as a reserve. We've got that guy Vince in 9th place. We've got Grid Jokes in 10th, Safso 11th, Adam Sanderson in 12th, Tuki 13th, Matt 212 in 14th, Ryan L83 in 15th place. Yorit is in 16th place. Chappers 17th place. Scotty Designs, by the way, did get a point for fastest lap. He's in 18th place and still yet to get off the mark for Alex Gillen. We haven't seen him yet so far this season. And Super Noodle Bagel rounding off our 20 drivers who've scored points. At least 18 scored points. You know what I meant. You know what sentence I was trying to get to there. But TK, I think you mentioned there that a race where all 20 cars are finished and no safety cars has only happened once before. Is that right?
If memory serves me correctly, we had a very similar conversation a couple of seasons ago, and we were digging through the archives to try and figure it out. There may have been one or two instances back in kind of season 1 or season 2, back before I even was considering joining Creator Series. But in recent memory, at least within the last 2.5, 3 years, we are not aware of more than one race that has gone to the finish with all 20.
It's remarkable. And yeah, for no virtual burn Mylander whatsoever in this race, really threw a spanner into the works for all drivers trying to, well, fuel save at a power circuit. It's a sentence that sounds a bit out of place when you say it like that, but that is Creator Series. In the team standings, though, it is Ferrari at the top of the order. Those Italians are working, they're cooking, they're working their magic. 65 points for them so far this season. Racing Bull's in second place on 56. And we've got Red Bull 42, McLaren on 33, Aston Martin rounding off the top 5 on 28 points. Then we have Mercedes, Alpine both on 23 points, Williams on 21, Sauber on 13, and 4 points for Haas so far this season. So all our teams have scored at least 1 point so far this season. Have that normal F1, which that actually happened over the last 2 years, but that's fine. Don't worry about it. It's shaping up to be a very, very interesting season, TK. 2 races, 2 different winners, but Razin's got a first and a second. He's the man in form.
He absolutely is, and it's kind of the flip of what we saw in seasons gone by. Gillen, he might not have been here, but we can still say he's in the mud, realistically. 0 points after 2 races. Come on, man, do better. But no, Ferrari have got a really strong grasp on things. I think that opening round really gave them confidence. Today, their fuel saving has to be studied as well. But Lolly Nova, I don't want to say too much about a potential incident, but he's got to feel heartbroken for that last lap move.
I mean, 5th and 7th for the Scuderia here today. It's not the worst result in the world. How so? Because they're still top of the standings, but they have got a huge team behind them as well. Big thank you as well to our commentary team in Tom Wilkinson and Carl Poranek. Tom Wilkinson, I'll come to you first. Heck of a race. No safety cars, no brakes for either of you two in that race. Full on, and then trying to watch all the fuel at the end of the race. Oh, I love it.
Turned into a maths challenge, didn't it? Trying to work out how much people were saving. Who wants to do maths when you're trying to splurge a load of words out of people? But yeah, it was a fun one. I think we had so many different variables that we had to think about, take into account. And I think it did set a precedent as well for the rest of the season. Razin looks like the one to beat, but it's not going to be easy sailing for him. You've got Cream in there. Ben, if he got his fuel right, maybe on another day he could have been definitely on the podium, maybe winning that. And we've still got, like you said, Alex Gillen to come back as well, who he might have said previously he doesn't really want to be in a championship battle. I think that's a little bit rubbish, to be honest. And I think Alex Gillen will come back with a point to prove.
Well, it's the Gillen way, isn't it? Carl, from your point of view then, that race, I mean, fuel saving as a power circuit is a very interesting line to say, but normally there's a safety car and that's why.
Certainly a bit of a paradox, let's put it that way. But I mean, a race of many firsts, really. I mean, we're still combing through the archives to figure out, was there actually any race where all 20 drivers actually made it to the end? This might well be the very first. It was a race of many firsts, really. No safety car, all drivers finished. What are you going to do? If one thing did, however, recur, that is, and I'm delighted I get to say this phrase again, the cream of the crop rises to the top.
Oh, he's done it. He's done it. Give him the applause he deserves. The plaudits are coming Carl Paradic's way. TK, I'll go around with the final round of questions. Who's a driver for you that stood out for you today?
Oh, that's a really tough one. There was a couple that had really good races, a couple that I think certainly did well. As much as he might have finished 17th place, Mango, I think, definitely impressed. Being able to stick with it. Brandon Miles, the attitude that he brought today, he, quite arguably was on the back of the pack for 99% of the race and even admitted that he wasn't exactly certain how the pace was going to hang on, but to stay out there for 44 laps of Belgium when you haven't done much racing before, that's got to be appreciated and accomplished, because that is what it takes to get 20 cars to the end.
and that's the base as well. You know, things can only get better for him as well going from this point. So yeah, remarkable debut to just get chucked in at the deep end and hope he swims. Yeah, absolutely. Tom Wilkinson, how about you? Who's a driver for you that stood out today?
I like to try and pick people from lower down. I think Grid Jokes did a really, really good job on the 2-stop, worked his way back through nicely. Yes, he had a penalty, which just pushed him down a couple of places, but I was impressed with him, especially after a bit of a shaky start. So I will go with Grid Jokes.
Grid Jokes gets Tom Wilkinson's vote. How about for Karl Paranek?
I'm probably going to be really boring here and say Kareem 70. As boring as that is, because, one, he went for the opposite strategy. Hardly any other people did it. He kept the fuel, he kept his patience, he kept the pace. His consistency all the way through is ultimately what put him in the position to win that race. After the probably lowest of lows at Saudi Arabia, he has climbed the summit at Spa-Francorchamps, and he should be really proud. He should be really proud of the drive he put in today.
Well, I've got to say, he's picked Kareem as Karl Paranek, so now everybody, boo him, boo Karl, boo, boo, there we go. There we go. He's picked the boring option. Well, GB, we know how good he is. From 19th on the grid up to 3rd place. Very comfortable drive for him as well. Got to say, Infratic did a great job. From P12 on the grid, finished P6. That can't really go under the radar as the top McLaren here today. But the Ferraris as well, maybe slightly missed a trick. 5th and 7th. They look so good in sort of that middle stint. But unfortunately, it didn't quite work for them trying to get those hard tyres to the end. But hey, there we go. Well, that's it for us at the Creator Series. A big thank you to all of you for watching along. Big thank you to the team, the broadcast team here with Gareth Allen behind the scenes. I know he doesn't like to be shouted at, but tough, it's happened. We've had TK, Tom Knight on the clip books. We've also had our commentary team, lead commentary of Tom Wilkinson and co-commentary for Karl Paranek. My name is Kieran McGinley, as you can see down there. You can find my socials. Normally, put an S in between those two names and you'll find me. Tom Wilkinson, where can we find you?
I've prepared for this one all week, and I haven't been able to be as creative as I wanted to be. You won't be able to find me promenading the passages in Pretoria, but you can find me wilco.coms on Instagram and TikTok. Pleasure as always to jump in with a very exciting race once again.
And that deserves a follow in itself. Go ahead and do that. Karl, where can we
Carl's
find you?
thing that I've stolen. I should say that. I mean, it's not original for me. It's become a tradition.
No such
now.
thing as plagiarism here. That's it. That's yours now, Tom. Karl, how about you? Where can we find you?
We love traditions. I'll tell you where you can't find me, and that's slaloming through Swahili. You won't find me there. But I'll tell you where you can find me. I have a very distinctive name, Karl Paranek. You'll probably find me there. All that remains for me to say is, gents, an absolute pleasure to do this alongside you tonight.
Absolutely. And TK, where can we find you?
Well, I'm going to follow on with a bit. I'll tell you where you can't find me. The Antiques Centres of Alaska. I won't be there, unfortunately. But you can check me out at They Call Me TK on pretty much every single social media. Don't forget to check out Gareth Allen as well, at Gareth Allen TV, because he will hate us for this. Double shout out, why the heck not? Kieran, back to you.
Thank you very much, TK. Yes, and yes, go and follow Gareth Allen. It'll be really funny. Yeah, that's why you should do it. In the meantime, make sure you do subscribe and follow to Creator Series so you get notified when we go live next time, so you won't miss out ever again. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your weekends. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.